What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another halftime show with your boy, Cortland Griffin. Thank y'all for tuning in. Man, I got three great guests that I've met, some I've worked with, some I've just met on Twitter, but they're still near and dear to my heart, and they're here to talk some AFC North. This is the AFC North edition of the NFL Roundtable, but we finna get to these guests, man. Some of them you know, some have been on the show before. The first guest I have, everybody call her Auntie. She's one of the most loving people I know. She respects you until you come at her Ravens. Miss Gina. What's good, Miss Gina?
You preaching, Cortland. You preaching. So what's up? Thank you so much for the invite. Happy to be here. Always happy to talk about my Ravens. Talk about NFL, period, right?
Right, for sure.
Football. But I'm always super happy to talk about my Ravens, so thank you.
No problem. And then she is the host of Sports and Coffee. Man, you follow her on Instagram or Twitter. She's somewhere overseas doing something, or you know what I'm saying, interviewing somebody. She's super famous. She's probably one of the most famous people I know. It's D. What's up, D?
I am not famous, but thank you.
No, man.
You are, girl.
D is everywhere. I'm telling you.
And then they probably like I came on camera and they was like, "Who the heck is that?" She ain't nobody.
Nah,
they definitely did not do that, D.
They definitely know your face, and if they don't, by the end of the night, they will. And then he was on the very first episode, right? Like almost a year ago today. Or no, it was a year ago last week. He was on the very first episode of the halftime show. My guy, the sports reporter without pay, Raylan. What's up?
Hey man, when you gonna tell the story, tell the whole story. Not only was I the first guest, I showed up with merch on. I showed up with
I still ain't got a shirt.
Love some merch now.
I showed up with halftime show merch
yet. Besides
me.
No, Showtime. Showtime.
Put me on. I support everybody.
Oh, Ken has a mug. He does.
Oh yeah. So yeah, but he was on the very first episode. We was talking NBA. It's crazy when I look back at that episode. We was almost spot on. Almost. Just a little. We was almost spot on. So we definitely gonna have to get another episode of that going. So man, this is dope. Like I said, this is dope. We're gonna get into some AFC North. But I'm gonna start
in football.
Well, we're gonna wait to see. We're gonna see what the comments say about that. But we're gonna get started. First question is, and since my Browns guy couldn't come, I'm gonna be covering the Browns for the most part for the show. But we're gonna just make this. We're gonna make this a round table, kind of a round table question for the panel. So, more than enough. The Cleveland Browns acquired Elijah Moore from the New York Jets. He was disgruntled in New York. He was asking for a trade last year. They didn't grant him that this offseason, of course, getting Aaron Rodgers, Allen Lazard, those guys there. They brought their bags and they were Green Bay. Shout out to Dion. Elijah Moore had to go out, so he was traded to Cleveland. Now he's the projected number one receiver in Cleveland. So the question is, yeah, he's projected
over Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
He's I'm just telling you what I saw. So yeah, so people lost faith in Amari Cooper. I don't know why. But the question is, can Elijah Moore? So we maybe already know Miss Gina's take, but can Elijah Moore be the number one receiver that Cleveland has been searching for over the past, I would say, decade or so? We're gonna go with Miss Gina first. Because her face is like, what?
Yeah, I'm not really understanding that. It would still have to be Amari Cooper to me. Yeah, I'm confused. I do expect he will come in and, bring some, some good production there, right? And I think he's a very good. I'm just going to roll with is Amari Cooper 1 and Elijah Moore 2, and I think that Elijah Moore will bring some very good production. I have a hard time seeing him as a number one. Like Amari Cooper is still, you're like Amari Cooper, like he's still out there, getting it in, making really nice catches, running really nice routes. And I'm pretty sure he's probably looking forward to being able to play with Deshaun. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who, assuming he's going to get back, I would say at least 75% this season of where he was, let's say, who would definitely be able to get the ball to him and Elijah Moore. So I think Elijah Moore will have good production, but I see him as 2. But if he becomes 1, good for him.
Ray, what about you, man?
Elijah, who? Like, listen, first off, hey, Auntie, I'm with Auntie. Like, imagine going for 1160 and then people like they need a number 1. What is Amari Cooper we talking about? Like, if next year when you play the Cleveland Browns and they go in there and they start writing names on the board, if you got a number 1 defensive, like your number 1 cornerback isn't lining up across from Elijah Moore. He's lined up across from Amari Cooper. Like, that's going to be the first guy on the list to stop. And she touched on something, man. I really believe people forget how good Deshaun Watson was the last time we saw him for a full season. Like, when he was in Houston, and then management said, hey, we're going to get rid of your best receiver. We're going to send him. All he did was go out and throw for 5,000 yards, completing 70% of his passes. Like, he's pretty good. Like, so I think with a full training camp on this belt, got his feet back beneath him, man. Like, Cleveland, it's just that this is a tough division. But to your question, like, Amari Cooper's the number 1. Let's stop this foolishness, man.
Hey, and you know what Deshaun Watson's former number 1 is now?
We know.
All right. I just want to let that be known. We're not talking about the AFC South, though. But
not much to talk about there. That's all the news going on over there.
What do you think? Do you think Elijah Moore can be Cleveland's
so here's
Amari
the thing.
Cooper still the guy?
I'm not a big number 1 receiver, number 2 receiver, right? It all depends on who you're playing, what defense you're looking at, and what your quarterback is capable of doing in that moment. I just really don't want to say he's a number 1 or Amari's a number 1. Who is available? Who is open when Deshaun Watson is able to throw them the ball? You can, if you look at certain teams like the Baltimore Ravens, you could say over the years, Mark Andrews has been the number 1 guy. But I think in this offense, it's going to be open. I don't even want to say number 1 or number 2. Do I think he has the opportunity to compete and be really good and be productive? Absolutely. I'll leave it there because number 1, number 2, yes, Amari Cooper is phenomenal. And yes, he should be looked at as the number 1, but I throw number 1, number 2 out the window. I think he can be productive in this offense.
And to your point, I think Elijah Moore probably has a big season this year. For the simple fact, like y'all said, Amari Cooper went for 1160 last year. He's going to get number 1 coverage with safety over the top. You can't forget about the guy David Njoku, got paid that big contract. He's a solid tight end in the league. Maybe you can argue top 4 or 5 in the league outside of those big 3 guys. So he's definitely getting paid top 5 money.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
No, go ahead, bro.
What has Elijah Moore done in the NFL for us to have this conversation?
Listen, Ray, let's answer the question here. Who's actually watched the Jets and Elijah Moore?
No, like
one out of 4.
No, like I've caught a game here, and I try to watch some of everybody. Right? I'm asking, like in his career.
In his defense, right?
I'm not disrespecting him.
His first season, he was productive. The second season, and that first season, he ain't had nobody throwing him the ball really. Like,
what do you mean by productive?
He was productive for what their offense was. Like they were trash. Like
so 538 yards is productive for a receiver.
In an offense that didn't produce 1,000-yard receiver.
With what's his name?
Wilson? With nobody with Sam Darnold seeing goals.
Sam Darnold, okay.
And a running back that you can't name. Then the next year he was disgruntled because he wasn't getting the ball and he felt like he should have got number one receiver consideration. But they had Garrett Wilson.
You talking about when the rookie came in and became the number 1?
Because they drafted him in the top 10, so he was going to be the number 1.
He just been through it.
Right. So he's now finally out of that. So now he comes into count being I would say on the depth chart, he's the number 2 guy. He should be
Let me know when you win the last primetime game you saw the Jets play, and I'll tell you when I seen Elijah Moore.
I just want to know how you go from Garrett Wilson coming in, taking over the number 1 responsibility. Now you're going to go to Cleveland and be the number 1 over Amari Cooper.
He's definitely he's gonna be productive. Like, you got a great tight end, you have 2 great wide receivers. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Of course, we'll see them twice, but like saying he's automatic superstar of the team on the offensive side of the ball it's a bit of a stretch.
The personnel he's playing with right now, plus the quarterback he has, and having Nick Chubb, like they got weapons that he doesn't have to come in and be immediately productive, but he should be.
I'm shocked Miss Dina's so quiet. She's just over there like
Miss Dina smile.
No, because I said what I said.
Yeah.
And I honestly agree with D in that I really don't care what your number is. I've said that a number of times in spaces. Just when my quarterback throws you the ball, just catch the ball. I really don't care if you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I agree with that as it pertains to him. Like, you have to go by what have we done lately. Like, the production is clearly has been on the side of Amari Cooper, right? So I don't have any beef with Elijah Moore. He just has to get out there and do it. And I think he has the opportunity, to do so. But as of right now, we have to go by what we've seen. And that would mean Amari Cooper would be your automatic number 1. Mm-hmm. Again, if things change, they change. I'm not mad at him. Go out there and show him what you can do.
Yeah, when you ask for a trade, you got to go out there and show why you felt like you should have been traded. But we got to move on. The Pittsburgh Steelers are probably in a position they haven't been in a long time, right? This is a team that historically has had very savvy veterans and some young guys sprinkled in. Now this is a team led by young guys, and one of their young guys got paid. I believe Alex Smith. I'm so sorry. Number 56, and that number 56 in Steelers black and gold has had some great players wear it. But that's not the question here. So I'm coming to D. Are the Steelers in a place where they can be competitive despite their young roster?
Absolutely. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're led by Coach Mike Tomlin, a man we all know has not had a losing season. Yes, it was his first season without Ben Roethlisberger, but you see they still led them, rallied the troops, and led them to potentially being in the playoffs. Just, fortunately, the Jets with that old Elijah Moore couldn't get it done for us against Miami, but he's wide receiver number 1, right? Anyway, yes, I do. Despite them being extremely young, especially on offense, I think my only biggest concern is just the fluctuation on the defense. Like, I have a lot of new guys on defense, secondary and all. That's probably like my biggest question mark. Just getting them to play together and talk and communicate. It's really a position or side of the ball where they have to communicate and be effective that way. So I'm excited to see that. But I think youth is on the side of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this group has the potential to be together for a while. So beware.
And for a team that ain't had a losing season since Mike Tomlin took over for the better part of 15 seasons now, I think that says a lot. I think they can be competitive for sure. We'll see if my boy Kenny, if he takes that lead, man. Because I think this year he's coming in as the starter, right? Like he's not.
Yes, he is. He is a starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. Yep. Pickett, nice. So we're gonna see.
He looks like he picked up a little bit of weight. Najee looks like he slimmed down a little bit. I haven't seen him in person, but just like looking at him.
I don't know, man. That pick I seen, boy, Najee looked like he about 240 now.
Nah, he looked like he slimmed. He looked like he slimmed a little bit. To me, so but
that boy nice. That boy Najee nice. Them running backs that were number 22 out of Alabama. It's something about them.
Yeah.
But moving on to Ohio over here, another Ohio team. So Ray, Eye of the Tiger, man, is it championship or bust?
Absolutely.
For the Bengals.
Yeah, they're in that territory now, right? Like Joe Burrow has established himself as one of the premier quarterbacks in the league. Like he has a, I never understand the whole this quarterback's record against this quarterback. They don't play defense, they don't kick, they don't punt, they don't play special teams. Like quarterbacks don't beat quarterbacks. It's like you're a quarterback standing on the sideline watching that dude carve your defense up. Ain't nothing you can do, right? But when people do the head-to-heads, like he's had success against the Kansas City Chiefs over the past couple of years, right? And I mean, he was one play from going to another Super Bowl, right? Like he's a player 2 away from being in the Super Bowl again. So the Cincinnati Bengals are now in that territory, right? They have nothing else to play for. They're like making the playoffs isn't going to be an accomplishment for them. Making a deep run in the playoffs, like that's not an accomplishment. They've been to the AFC Championship the last 2 years. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. There's nothing left for them to do but win the Super Bowl. Like that's it. Them, the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I know we're not covering them, but that's the elk that the Cincinnati Bengals are in now, right? Like they're going to be expected to compete for championships every single year. And this group that they have, like it reminds you of the group with Carson Palmer and TJ Houshmandzadeh and Chad Ochocinco, but like these guys are so much better. And I'm
like, why do you think they remind you of that? Why? Because that's the last time that they were decent.
No, I'm just talking in terms of a high-powered offense. I'm talking in terms of a quarterback with some weapons out there that he can get the ball to. Like
so the last time the Bengals were good. That's what it reminds you of.
And
they were okay with Andy Dalton. They were okay with Andy Dalton.
Remember, right? They had Rudy. What was it? Rudy Johnson running the ball in the backfield for them. Then they had Cedric Benson back there. Like they was stout.
Right. So right. If you go to the mid 2000s, the early to mid 2000s Bengals, right? Carson Palmer quarterback. Now you got Joe Burrow. You got Chad Johnson and TJ Houshmandzadeh. Now you have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. You have Benson. Now you have y'all know his name. Running back escaping my
Joe
name.
Mixon.
Joe Mixon, right?
Yeah.
Like they have like they're one of the few teams in the NFL that can beat you in a multitude of ways. You can't say, hey, we're gonna stack it 8 in the box and stop mixing. Yeah, good luck with that. Right? Good luck with leaving single coverage with those guys on the outside. Or we're gonna drop back.
Running back. That the depth was P. Ryan, who they had. He was really good. I know he's not there anymore.
Oh, you're talking about Samaje P. Ryan.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he was good, but he's not there anymore. I don't know who their backup is, but I mean they had some depth there that made them even a better threat. Like if you watch the Super Bowl, I thought P. Ryan had a great game. But I'm not disagreeing. I really think it really is Super Bowl or bust. Like nobody wants to keep seeing the Chiefs and Bengals go at each other, and the Bengals this is it. You have to you can't talk a whole bunch of trash if you don't get to the promised land.
So I'm going to disagree with my cohorts here. I'm not going to necessarily say they are Super Bowl and bust. To me, they're back in the realm of just being a consistently good team every year, and you want that for your team, right? You want them. Everybody is not going to make it to the Super Bowl. Only 2 teams are going to get to the Super Bowl. Only one is going to win. So it doesn't mean that there aren't other very good teams out there. The fact that this team is still very young. This is what we're going into Burrow's 3rd year, well, 4th.
4th year.
Okay, 4th year. Still playing on this initial contract right now. You know, we're all waiting to see what happens with that. And this team is very much young. So I think amongst fan bases, is Super Bowl a bust? I think when you think about the fact that they've gone 3 times already and they haven't won, you know, you see it as Super Bowl and bust. But think of the parity in the league. Think of the parity in the AFC. It's a cold, hard world in the AFC streets right now. Like, you're going to have to perform in order to rise to the top. So if they get through this season, and let's say they don't make it to the Super Bowl, they get knocked out in some round of the playoffs, does that mean that their season is a bust? I don't necessarily say that that's the case, because so many other teams got better, especially in the AFC. And am I trying to indicate that, you know, there's a window closing? No, I'm not. I think our division just got so much better. And I think our teams in our division, we kind of opened up like a 6 to 10 year window on our team, kind of, sort of. I mean, basically, with the talent that we have on our teams in our divisions, in our division, who we have at the helm of quarterback, in our division, I fully expect Kenny Pickett is going to, continue to advance. So I know a lot of people would say that, but only 2 teams make it to the Super Bowl. For them to have come in and have done what they have done over these last couple of years, it's definitely been great, right? And I'm sure a bunch of other teams have been like, I wish we had made it to the AFC. And I know their goal is to win one. They really want one. That's one that's really irking them. But if they make it back to the AFC Championship and, possibly lose, they don't make it there, does that mean it was a bust? I'm going to say I don't think that was necessarily a bust this year. To make it to the playoffs in the presence of the AFC teams that we have is, in my opinion, really going to be a feat this year. And then it's just going to be a gauntlet to get through the playoffs for the AFC team.
I'll say it is AFC North championship. I mean, AFC championship or bust for them. I'll say that. Maybe not Super Bowl bust, but I'll say it's AFC championship or bust for them. But the problem is, you go into this next season and you're talking money. And these guys, if they make it to an AFC championship, they're going to want to get paid. I don't care what it is. So you got to figure out ways to keep everybody happy and keep money in their pockets. And it's going to be hard on both sides of the ball to keep everybody happy and keep the band together. So it's very important, if they want to, get what they can get, which is a ring with this team, you need to do it immediately, because it's going to be hard. There's no guarantee these guys are going to like what that piece of paper says when it comes across the table.
Well, here's the thing, D. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if anybody know that, you do. Right? We saw it happen, right? You couldn't keep everybody happy. Y'all had, same thing we talking about, a great quarterback, receivers, running back, like triple Bs, whatever y'all want to call them. And then next thing you know, 2 of them is gone because of contract disputes and things of that nature, right? The Bengals have to strike while the iron is hot. Like y'all said, Burrow on this rookie contract, he got to get paid soon. Like Chase going to get paid. It has to be now. And I guess in my mind, when we say Super Bowl or bust, I'm talking about the players in the locker room. When they walk into this season, there is no goal but a championship. Right. For them. Like my Lions, not for them. The Bengals?
That's a fact. That's fact.
And you never know. Like, you could have a moment where a guy's like, I don't want to be here no more. And it disrupts your whole motion. Like, you can't control that. If Chase wakes up one morning and says, you know what, this was fun, I had a good time, but I want to go play somewhere else. What the heck are you going to do?
What else? I mean,
but why would he do that, though? Especially
I will say this. Tyreek Hill did it, and that blew my mind.
Yeah, so it happens, Regina. Tyreek did it. Look at Antonio Brown. I know Antonio Brown is a special case, but it happens.
Yeah, look at AJ Brown. So,
and by the way, Auntie, I would agree with parity with one exception.
Stephon Diggs is on the way.
The AFC is Kansas City, then everybody else. Like, they're in a class of their own.
I don't know, man.
I ain't going to disagree. I'm going to say the AFC quarterbacks, maybe Patrick Mahomes, and then everybody else. But I fully believe that there are a number of teams who will absolutely, in fact, when we did rankings of top 10 offenses, in fact, the stats this past season, I think that the Chiefs may or may not be the number 1 offense. I think they'll absolutely still be in the top 3. But there could be some other offenses that can pull ahead. I mean, right now, they're the current Super Bowl winners, right? So you got to say, okay, yeah, they're the current winners. But each season is a new season. And so Patrick Mahomes is the number 1 quarterback. But I don't know that I was going into this season. They may not, by the time the season is done, they may not be the number 1 team. Doesn't mean that they can't win the Super Bowl again, but I'm just saying they just may not be the number 1 team per se. That's what I mean. The quarterback, yeah.
So I mean, in the words of one of my favorite wrestlers, Ric Flair, to be the man, you got to beat the man. They are the reigning Super Bowl champs. So,
that's fact.
Cortland, they're not just the reigning Super Bowl champions. They've been to 5 straight AFC championship games.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I said. To be the man, you gotta beat him.
Mahomes ain't never been less than the AFC championship game. Like when I said, like every year, it's I don't know about Kansas City, and then they're right. They've been to 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls. Like that gotta matter, right? Like
no, it does. It does. That is what you want. That is what you have to beat. That is kind of almost like the AFC standard. So you have to be able to, you have to beat that beast. It's
You know
like
what's-
playing the like on Sonic where you had to beat the monster at the end of the game. They are the monster at the end of the game. You cannot win the game without beating the monster.
You know what's
Whether
crazy?
you do it or the person in front of you, somebody got to beat the monster.
You know
So
what's
are
crazy?
you don't think that they're beatable? You all don't think that they're beatable?
No, I'm
No,
not
they
saying
definitely
they're not
are.
beatable. I'm just
It's-
saying,
You can defeat them. We've seen it happen.
yeah, it's possible.
But it hasn't happened often. That's the thing.
No,
So
like everybody's beatable. I'm simply saying, like, if a team, like if we're talking about the AFC, and then we say there's parity, like they're clearly in a class of their like last year, 2 years ago, everybody thought Buffalo was going to be the team to dethrone them, and then Buffalo didn't make it this year. They lose to Cincinnati, and then Cincinnati, and then a few years ago it was Baltimore, right? Like it's somebody else checking the box every year, but the one consistent in the AFC has been Kansas City. Like they're there at the end of every year. Like I think their lowest win total been 12 and 4 is their worst season. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think again, the gauntlet you speak of in the AFC with Lamar Jackson, with Joe Burrow, with Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, Josh Allen, like it's some quarterbacks out. Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Did you see what he was doing last year before he got hurt?
I'm just
like,
picking. I'm just picking.
Hey, hold on, real quick. Hey,
Dolphin fans are
real quick.
listening. The Dolphin fans are listening.
Let me ask you a question.
Cortland, you are about to get trashed on your timeline, bro.
Ask the Ravens fans about Tua in Miami.
I remember that game. I was in France living my best life. Lamar did get hurt. And that's I think that, and we ain't talking about the Ravens yet. I can't wait to talk about them.
Oh no, we finna get to the Ravens right now because that's the team that I have. That's my pick for the AFC Championship. I've said that. I'm sticking to it. I do have them in the AFC Championship game this year. But birds of a feather, we're gonna talk about it. I'm coming to you, Miss Gina. Y'all got OBJ. Y'all back healthy. Got starting running back and your contingency back. You got your defense back, healthy, ready to go. You got two very young pass rushers, two dogs, two speedsters coming in Ojobo and Owe. So the question is, did the Ravens put themselves back into the NFL elite with their offseason moves and additions?
Yeah, I don't think we actually left. We were there. We just couldn't finish the season because we weren't healthy. But you look at any rankings and look at anybody trying to rank teams, the Ravens wound up in the top 10 every year, despite the fact that our quarterback didn't finish or, we lost other key players on our team. So I take issue with the thing that back in the elite, we were still elite. We make the playoffs every year, minus that 1 year where we had probably like 20-something people on our, none of our running backs and all that. But yeah, we make the playoffs every single year. So I think we were elite. The question is, did we put ourselves back into Super Bowl contention?
I don't remember them making it the year before last.
The answer, we've only missed 1 year since Lamar has been there making the playoffs. We've only missed 1 year since we've had Lamar, and that was due to injury. So we've been in the playoffs every year minus that one. So we put ourselves back into Super Bowl contention. We've had a good enough team to win enough games to get to the playoffs every year and get knocked out in divisional round or get knocked out in the wild card round or whatever, didn't make it to the AFC. But we've now, with what they've done, not only with obviously re-signing QB1, the great 8, and bringing in OBJ, Rashard prayerfully will be healthy, getting Zay Jones in the draft. Not only with those key pieces, Nelson Aguilar, don't want to forget Nelson Aguilar, but not only with those pieces, I cannot emphasize enough the coaching changes that were made, not just with our OC, which was huge, right? It was huge, switching OCs, and now we have Todd Monken, a very, very big part. Looking forward to, running a spread offense, not necessarily being run first. Not that we're not going to run the ball. You need to run the ball. We're going to run the ball, but we're definitely going to be passing the ball more. So that, and I'm going to talk, and some other positional coaching changes that we've made, particularly the ones that deal with our pass rushers, but they're outside linebackers on our team. But our pass rushers, our defensive coordinator now coming into his second year, It's so we made a whole bunch of coaching changes that people don't really talk about or pay attention to, which makes a huge difference. So our team quietly, while everybody was paying attention to Lamar getting paid or not getting paid, all of that, our team quietly did an overhaul this past offseason. And sorry about that, y'all. And it's like at the end of the day, I'm looking for all of those things to pay off. So we were elite. We make it to the playoffs. Only 7 teams make it into the playoffs every year, and we did -1. But we're back in Super Bowl contention now with the changes that we made in this offseason.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I said, I think with the additions y'all made, getting OBJ, y'all need the receivers. You got OBJ. I think Duvernay's still there. Rashard Bateman is. I got hope for that man. I don't know. Call me because I played the position. I like what I see when he's healthy. Y'all made another pickup at receiver, didn't you?
Say it again.
Didn't y'all have another pickup at receiver? Zay Flowers. My guy Zay.
My
guy Zay.
And Zay looks like he's gotten bigger. He doesn't look as small as he looked on draft day. So I don't know.
He wasn't small on draft day. Shout out to Zay.
He's gotten bigger since draft day.
No, shout out to Zay. Talked to him at the AFC kickoff beginning of last year, college season. And he was probably around, I would say, 160, 165. He came into the combine at 190. So if he's at anywhere between 190, 195, with the way he runs the ball and when he catches it and everything, probably one of the most solid pair of hands. I'm sorry, I'm getting to my draft talk here, but the dude is solid. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do, man. Like I said, I got him in the AFC Championship game. They back healthy. Lamar got his money. And also Lamar, this is a make or break year for Lamar. You got your money. There's no more excuses. You got targets now. It ain't just Mark Andrews.
No excuse for the Baltimore Ravens. They have not won. So, I know I'm somewhere in the sand that it will be found, but I don't see on the surface level, there is no excuse for the Baltimore Ravens.
None. So go ahead, Ray.
I just want to make sure I understand what I just heard. Kansas City isn't the quote unquote class of the AFC by themselves. Like they're beatable, they're not the class. And they've been to 5 straight AFC Championship game and 3 Super Bowls. Baltimore has 1 playoff win in the last 10 years, and they're elite. That's what we're saying?
So actually, as
1 playoff win.
I actually was like, well, you know what? You're right. And I agree with you. So
okay, so let's get past Kansas City. Baltimore has 1 playoff win in the last 10 years, and they're elite.
How many playoff wins do other teams in our division have? Other teams in the AFC? How many teams actually make it to the playoffs? How many other teams even make it to the playoffs like that?
Almost half the conference make it. It's 7 teams make it out of 16.
Right.
But it's
the same teams that keep going back. It's the same teams. Most of the time, the Chiefs keep going back. The Bengals keep going back. The Ravens keep going back. But
the Chiefs been to 3 Super Bowls. The Bengals been to a Super Bowl in the AFC Championship game.
Buffalo
been to an AFC Championship game.
So who else? So you're saying they're only. So what is it that you're trying to get me to say, or you think I'm?
I wasn't trying to get you. I'm posing to whoever's watching, to whoever's listening, the people on the panel. What makes Baltimore elite? They have 1 playoff win in the last 10 years. 10. I went back 10 years. They have 1 playoff win. How is that elite? Like, what standard are we holding them to? Well, they made the playoffs. Like, that's wild. What makes them elite?
Compared to other teams that's consistently not making it, and you're consistently making it, you got to be there in order to not win and get knocked out. You got to be there. A bunch of teams are not even getting there, so you don't even have an opportunity to get lose. So you still got to get there, right?
So we're just loosely throwing the word elite around. Like it's like Cincinnati, who went to the Super Bowl. Cincinnati ain't. But like.
Well, I mean, when you talk about elite, you have to put in you have to consider the health too, right? You are elite as long as you're healthy.
Okay. So D, let's roll with that. When they were healthy, what did they do to show you they was elite? They have one playoff win in the last 10 years.
And that's because we're just a year out, because literally the year before is when we won the Super Bowl. But technically, because it's 2023 now, you got to go back to 2013. So you're right.
I could have said
Maybe
7
that's
years.
But we just won the Super Bowl in 2012.
So your whole stance was since Lamar been there. Let's go with since Lamar been there. They have one playoff win since Lamar been there. How is that elite?
And again, I'm going with the fact that I'm not saying that our team has been as good as the other teams or as good as the Chiefs. Obviously, we have not. Or the Bills or Cincinnati in the last couple of years have been coming and put something together. But for me, when you think of top, again, when you come to rankings, the Ravens make the top 10 every time. When it comes to making the playoffs, the Ravens making it to the playoffs every time. You can say there's only 16 teams in each division, in each conference, and only 7 can go. Still, 7 got to go. The fact that you're actually making it there consistently every year, minus a couple years, I still think because there are other teams that is just not even doing that. Some of them not making it at all, right? Or some of them might have been there once, maybe twice, but they're consistently getting there. Now, once you get there, you're playing the best of the best. So the best of the best is going to be harder to get those dubs.
They're playing elite teams. They're playing elite teams. The Baltimore Ravens are the LA Clippers of the NFL. They're really good in the regular season. Lamar Jackson is the Chris Paul of the NFL. He's really good in the regular season. But when Baltimore gets to the playoffs, you can book it. One playoff win since Lamar Jackson been there.
So what are you booking this year? What are you booking this year, bro? Let's talk about it right now.
Like you're on a wing and a prayer.
Let's go. Because if this is
You're on a wing and a prayer.
Let's talk about it right now. Where are we going this year?
Nowhere. We're doing an NFL season
preview. We're
preview.
going nowhere. Okay, so we will have this clip. We will have this clip in Portland, and I will cut this clip, and we will come back and revisit.
But what we want to do now?
So do you have them winning the playoff game?
Not going anywhere. You said nowhere.
You don't have them winning the playoff game.
Listen.
That is all that I needed.
Listen,
to answer my question.
Even if
nowhere.
Listen,
so
but even if I'm wrong, listen, even if I'm wrong,
and I can go
even if I'm wrong,
bro. You said
even if I'm wrong,
that is all.
Even if I'm wrong,
that is all that I needed.
Hold on, real quick. But even if I'm wrong, Cortland, even if I'm wrong, it don't change the fact that they're not elite right now. They haven't done anything in the last 5 seasons for us to sit on an NFL preview show in 2023 and say they've been elite the past 5 years. That's cat. And you just roll with it, Cortland. Like, I agree with her. That's a lie. They
we have them winning the AF.
I have them in the AFC Championship game.
What does that have to do with saying they've been elite the last 5 years?
Playoff games.
No, I said I had them in the AFC Championship game. I was agreeing that they can put themselves back in the conversation, but we gotta table this one for we might revisit this after we get through it, but because This ain't even the spiciest segment in the show. We all.
And I don't have a problem with him disagreeing with that. I don't have a problem with him disagreeing with that. If he disagrees, he disagrees. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
That's a bold-faced fact that they ain't been elite.
Question. So where do you think we're going this season? And you
I think
nowhere.
I have to agree with like regular season elite. I'll give them that. Justin Tucker has won them some games for sure. He is elite.
The Clippers. Listen, this is why I don't like covering my own teams, Cortland. Covering your own teams, like it's hard to be unbiased with your own teams. Like I'm sure Raven fans would want them to have been elite the last 5 years.
I think
we not I just play them too much. So
if you consistently rank in the top 10 from week to week to week, and you're consistently in the playoffs.
They'll never call
you were the greatest. I didn't say they were the greatest. Because the greatest team is by the greatest team overall quarterback by far. You got to give it to with the consistency of what the Chiefs has done. You do have to give them that. You do. You have to give them that. And that's why I was like, oh well, you know what? That's true. That's true. You're right. You're right. And I respected that.
Well, this is I don't know, man. It might get spicy, even more spicy.
But I'm looking forward. But I'm looking forward. So that's how I'm looking at it.
But y'all, that was the team segment, right? I don't know, man. This might get a little more spicy. I
Hey,
might
you
have
got a
talked-
little dirty too. You ain't let me or Auntie talk about them Steelers. You let D talk and just moved on. Like, you see how he did it? He ain't let us talk about them Steelers. You see that?
One
Because y'all
more
disagree with
time.
nothing she said. But no, we gotta get to these position rankings, y'all. This is the meat and potatoes of the show. I didn't think the team segment was gonna get that spicy, but it did. So this is the reason why I do what I do. So we gotta talk about it, guys. These positions, in every division, of course, like we said, the AFC is now. I mean, it's looking like all the quarterbacks just said we're gonna jump over there to the AFC side, But when you look at this division, outside of maybe one team, it's three dogs. It's three dogs.
And by that team, are you referring to the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I ain't saying no names, D.
It's
But
Kenny I'm not even going to be mad at you because
Argument.
Kenny has something to prove. He has a lot to prove, and it's fine.
It ain't a knock against him. He ain't done nothing to say.
He's going to his second year. If you were rating a second year quarterback above those guys in the division, I would have a problem with it. So I'm not mad at that.
Well,
I'm actually a realist.
Patrick Mahomes has been the best quarterback in the league since
Excuse me?
year one. So, but
I'm just saying I would have been so quick to crown him, but we see what he's done, but still, could have been a fluke.
He's definitely on Mount Rushmore trajectory, but we ain't talking about them. That's the last.
The man didn't even play a full season last year, so I'm completely okay with him being at the bottom of the list right now.
Yeah, that's the last show of the season. So we ain't talking about that right now. But we talk about the quarterbacks of the AFC North. We're gonna rank these quarterbacks, or actually, we're just gonna go with who y'all think is the best quarterback. We ain't even rank them, just the best quarterback in this division. So D, I'm gonna come to you first. Who is QB1 in this division?
It's hard because I like brown quarterbacks. And there are two in this division. So I will go with, because I love the flexibility and mobility that Lamar has, I will go with Lamar first. And then I really want to go Joe Burrow here. I really do. I'm just gonna go Joe Burrow, not because it's I have to separate the team and the fans. The fans make me want to put Joe Burrow 3, but the team itself, I'm gonna put Joe Burrow number 2. Then I'll do Deshaun. I'm sorry, Deshaun. I really wanted to put you number 2 as well, but and then of course Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett did not play a whole season last year. He has a lot to prove, and I'm excited to what he does this season. So we'll see.
Okay, Miss Gina, you got any qualms with that ranking?
It depends on how you want to look at it. Some people say, wins are not a quarterback stat. And then some people consider wins a quarterback stat, i.e. the conversation that just came up, as opposed to the team. So if you have to rank the quarterbacks, obviously Kenny Pickett goes at 4, and that's just because he's young. He's going into his second year. Somebody has to be 4, right? So it's the other 3 that you juggle around. I'm going to have to go Deshaun at 3. I think after this season, it might not be that way, but you only can go by what you've seen. I mean, he unfortunately sat out that year and then was suspended another year. And in the games we saw, he didn't look, like the old Deshaun, but there's a lot of reasons and a lot of context around that, right? And I think with him going into this season having another full off season with the team, and being able to go through all of that stuff, he'll be able to kind of get back to himself. I'm expecting him to get back to himself. But just going into it, you kind of we do things usually from last year going into the next year. So I would have to put him at 3. And then between Burrow and Lamar, at the end of the day, if people look at it as a whole, as what your team has accomplished, then you have to put Joe Burrow first. And the fact that he finished the whole season, Lamar did not finish the whole season last season. But when he was on the field, when we did have our number 1 wide receiver, we had a leading offense in the league. In fact, for a few weeks, we were the leading offense in the league. And that's happened.
That Carolina game just popped in
a lot of times, for whatever reason, injuries are undefeated against our team, period. And that's what really wrecks us. So I would say in the case of, if you're going to look at team accomplishment, if you're going to come from that aspect, then you would go Joe Burrow, and then you would go Lamar. And if you want to do that, I'm not going to make a big beef or a big stew about that at all. But on the other hand, one could make an argument that, Lamar is the number one quarterback. I just don't think he's had the right stuff around him. But like, everyone is saying, no excuses. It looks like we have some good pieces in here. And I think that will lead to us being much more successful, right? And then hopefully WSROP after this year, once we get to the AFC or win the Super Bowl, we might agree that the Ravens are elite then. You can go 1-2, you can go 2-1, to be honest. And I'm sorry, 1-2 Burrow Lamar, or 1-2 Lamar Burrow, and you can just make an argument both ways to me.
Okay. Ray, I know you was over there looking up numbers, bro. I know it because I see your eyes. Who you got as number one quarterback in this video?
Burrow. Why are we doing this, man? Like Burrow. It's Burrow, and it's really not it's not even like the argument is at 2. The argument's at 2, right? And for the many flaws that I've pointed out in many shows I've done with what I see with Lamar, the man still won an MVP. Like, that has to count for something. You look at the totality of his game. I think there's a lot left to be desired with what he does passing the ball.
I'm sorry. I got to stop you right now. Like, I understand. The only reason why Lamar is arguably probably not one is because of his health and him staying on the field. Like,
when
that's
Lamar,
really it.
When Lamar Jackson's healthy, he's not better than Burrow.
Okay.
And what, like,
all right, I'm gonna start.
I'm
not arguing.
In a pass-happy league where everybody say you can't touch the receivers, you can't touch the quarterback. That's why all these numbers is crazy. Justin Herbert walks in the league and throws for 5,000 his first year. Like, all these crazy numbers. Lamar Jackson, 3,000 yards passing, 2,700, 2,822. The boy can't throw the ball.
So that's absolutely not true. I'm surprised. I'm sorry.
I gotta go.
So, hey, hold on. Hey, listen.
That's my time.
I just want to finish my take.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I just want to finish my take. I'll let y'all sit up until all them lies.
You're laying out stuff that's just.
I'm just saying. I'll let y'all sit up until all them lies and act like it's a.
I did cut him off. I apologize.
I'll come back.
We sit here and act like it's a conversation between Burrow and Lamar right now when it's not. It's really not. Like the conversation again is just winging a prayer stuff. We wish Lamar could. We hope Lamar could. Oh, he got OBJ who ain't been good in 3 years. That now he got a weapon. He's gonna do X, Y. Listen, man. Until he changed something with his passing game, he gonna have the same flaws he's always had. And I was being respectful and said he has an MVP. I'm putting him at 2, right? But Burrow, since the date, like, bruh, what we doing here? Just look at last year. Second in completion percentage, second in touchdown, second in yards per game. Like, what we talking about? And he's winning. Right? Like, because if you putting up the numbers and you lose, they go say you putting up numbers on a bad team. So you putting up these great numbers and he's winning. What's the conversation?
Just let me know
of what we want Lamar to be.
Interrupt you.
But I know where this is going. You're gonna tell me what you want Lamar to be. There's no argument based on what he's done for Lamar to be better than Burrow right now. Literally none.
So and after Ms. Gina's take, we gotta move forward. But Ms. Gina, what's your pushback? What's your
rebuttal?
So at the end of the day, again, that's why I had anything negative to say if somebody puts Burrow at 1. I'm not going to make a harp of that. But my issue is, my harp is on you saying that the dude cannot throw the ball, which is 1% not true. You referenced the fact that he threw 3,127 yards in his MVP year. You forgot to leave off the part, though, that he actually led in passing touchdowns that year, period. That was against all other quarterbacks in the league, not just the AFC North. He had the leading touchdown. Not sure if you looked up that stat. Also, I'm not sure if you looked up the stat that said that he is one of the winningest quarterbacks up until 24, up until 25. His record, one of the winningest quarterbacks, and that's over the other quarterbacks in the league. He has amassed more wins more quickly than these other quarterbacks that you're talking about, minus Pat Mahomes, of course. So let's not get in here and act like he can't pass the ball and act like he doesn't win, because he does.
He can throw the ball, y'all. We got to stop with this narrative.
Why the Ravens have won the games we've won is because we've had Lamar at the helm to do that. What we have not had is a competent wide receiver core comparable to what's over on the Bengals, and that's no shade that they got these good wide receivers. That's no shade. They got what they got, and it worked out well, and that doesn't take away from him. But certainly having good wide receivers with a very good quarterback is going to equate to something. When you have a very good quarterback, but you don't have the best pass catchers around him, and then in addition to that, you have a offensive coordinator who is heavy run first, and wanted to just run the ball, who instead of just throwing the ball, when there have been multiple years when he has been killing it passing the ball, when we run 11 personnel, that Lamar would be killing it and has won the MVP without having top wide receivers on his team, right?
I mean, everyone that was
without having top wide receivers on his team. So just please don't, if you want to say Burrow's number one, I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. But what I will not tolerate is you coming up here trying to slander Lamar and say he can't throw the ball, which is absolutely not true. The clips are out there. The games are out there.
The numbers are out there, y'all.
And the fact that he is
the numbers out there.
He's an efficient quarterback. And in that year where he only had 31-27, the dude was sitting out entire fourth quarters because we were ramrodding through teams and was up so many scores that he did not need to play the fourth quarter. So if he had to actually play all those fourth quarters, he could have had his 4K. In 2021, which was a very quiet year, where he was literally on pace for 4K before he got hurt and went down because we had no running backs. So they had to pass the ball because our entire running backs room, they were gone before the season started. So we had to pass. And he was on pace for 4K that year. So at the end of the day, who cares if you run 4K or throw 4K or 5K? Did you get dubs? Did you get tutties? Like, that's what counts. And he has certainly done that. So Burrow, number one, don't have a problem with that. That's cool.
Man.
But don't play that stuff on my dual threat quarterback.
Just the last thing I want to say was just please stop the narrative that Lamar Jackson cannot throw the ball. Like, dead that. Don't let that go into the season. That is done. That
can't throw.
Hey, hold on. I'm not gonna harp on that because I was the person for his first 3 years. I was like, man, Lamar can't throw.
So he can throw now?
Why we keep talking about it? This is not a thing no more.
Are we gonna move on after this? I was like, Lamar
can throw the football.
And then I started looking at who he had, and I'm like, dang. I started really watching the Ravens games. I was like, dang, it is just Mark Andrews. And then I started looking at that dude, Hollywood Brown, who swore up and down he was just God's gift to, football. And,
all right, we ain't got to do that.
And was dropping balls that was in the breadbasket. But again, that's neither here nor there, right? He's got the contingency around him. And so now we get to see where his arm talent truly lies as compared to, like Ms. Gina said, guys who have better groups of receivers around them. So I'm just gonna say
and play calling.
Right, and I got to stick to my guns. I have Joe Burrow as the second best quarterback in the NFL coming into the year, and so I got to go with him as number one. But that's just me, right? Lamar's number two. Deshaun is definitely number three in the division, but that could flip flop depending on what we see when he has a full season upon him, because he was one of the top 5 QBs in the NFL 2 years ago. So, yeah, man. So let's move on. We got to get to this running back position. It's a lot of stuff we're gonna have to revisit. I didn't realize the AFC North was gonna be this spicy. It's crazy. But
North. You don't even have no Browns fan in here. Oh, real Cincinnati fan in here.
Hey,
He's not a Detroit Lions fan.
Hey, but Ray knows stuff. I just want to say
no, Ray. I'm not. Yeah, I'm just saying you ain't even got diehards in here. The real bias is not here.
Nah, we don't need the bias though. We need some unbiasedness too. But so who has the best running back in the division? This is a very interesting division when it comes to running backs. We got some guys we got some committee, and then we got some guys who are just hands down.
So that's my question. Is it running back's room or running back RB1?
Who is the best ball carrier in the division? Who's the best bell cow in the division? Miss Gina, I'm gonna come to you.
I mean, it's Chubb, bro.
Is that it?
It's Nick Chubb.
Just dropped the mic.
It's Nick Chubb. Like, there's nothing else you can really say to that. It's clearly Nick Chubb. Running back's room would be a different conversation, but running back, you have to go with Nick Chubb. Like, period.
For sure. Right.
So, the biggest compliment I can pay this man is in probably 6 other divisions, he might be the best running back in the division. Like Najee Harris is really, really, really good. He's really good. I have him at 4th in this division. At number 3, I have Joe Mixon. At number 2, I have Nick Chubb. And at number 1 is Lamar Jackson.
I knew that was coming. I was bracing myself for it. I knew it was coming.
Right, we're not doing this tonight, man.
Man might be the best running back in football, dog.
Do not.
Man might be the best running back in football. I'm telling you.
He started with the Najee. He's here for entertainment. That's
no. I was serious about Najee Harris.
Purpose.
Hold on, for real. I was serious about Najee Harris.
And disrespect Najee Harris like that. Like, he ain't have back-to-back 1K years.
I just said how good he was. That was no joke. That was no slight.
You really think Najee Harris is under Joe Mixon?
Yeah.
Okay.
And guess what? That's not something that I would stand on the hill and down, right? Like, if you said, here go the numbers, and you show, all right, I wouldn't trip about that. I would firmly have Chubb ahead of both of them, but I wouldn't like make a big fuss about somebody having Najee over Joe Mixon. That's not a hill that's like, oh, I'm gonna fight it to the death, like this Lamar Joe Burrow thing.
And you have J.K. Dobbins over them both.
No, I have Lamar Jackson over them both.
Like,
listen, man. Listen, all jokes aside, and I feel for Ravens fans, man. I got my best friend's a Ravens fan, and bro, one year, I think they lost like 4 running backs in training camp. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, so you never know.
Wasn't that last year? Didn't they lose J.K.?
A couple years
ago. It was the year before.
No,
the year before.
Was it last year, Miss Gina?
It was 2021.
Okay,
yeah, the year before.
I remember that. It was like,
bro,
J.K.
it was like
down.
Somebody went down.
Gus Edwards,
they just signed this person. He went down too. Like, it was unbelievable, man. So, and again, though, I mean, their running game didn't suffer at all because they got the best running back in the NFL, man. So, and again, I promise I wasn't trying to disrespect Najee. He's super talented. I like him. I said in 6 other divisions.
Lamar Jackson. We're not gonna do this, y'all.
Yeah, bro, and he disrespected Derrick Henry too. We ain't gonna talk about that. But D,
you always got to throw the Titans in there. They're not in this conversation.
Somebody the best running back in the NFL. Number 22, the best running back in the NFL. D,
are you going to mention about Perion Winfrey since we're talking running backs?
Who?
Perion Winfrey that got released.
Oh no, he's a defensive lineman, ain't he?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, yeah. I got him mixed up. Okay, yeah, my bad. I'm sorry.
I know who you was talking about though. But see, Courtney, bro. Hey, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. All right.
Yeah, you got some really active.
Watch your mouth.
I'm seeing the comments. You got some really some fans that they're very.
My little brother tuned in tonight, so shout out to him.
No,
shout out to my dog.
Actually.
Shout out to my dog, man, for tuning in, watching this big brother.
Raphael, Courtney, Micah, they've been going.
But D, so who you got as the best running back in this division? Because I'll
give it to Chubb. I have to give it to Chubb until otherwise. It has to be Chubb right now. I'm not mad at that, but I'm gonna go ahead and put Najee Harris at number 2 though.
So I'm
That's
gonna disagree.
happening.
I'm gonna disagree with that one. I got Chubb. I think
Okay.
it's by far Chubb. Chubb is
Yeah,
considered.
Chubb is number one. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't even think you could. You
got an
you can
argument
look
too,
in
though.
this camera and say that Chubb is not number one right now.
Oh yeah, Nick Chubb is definitely number one.
That would just be bias and a lie.
Yeah, but Najee and Mixon
I
at
think you
two.
have arguments there too, though.
Yeah, it's an argument.
Yeah, you
too.
can definitely have an argument at two, but I'm not going to argue with you
because Joe was hurt last year. He missed 3 games. Joe missed 3 games last year. He missed a game the season before that and had 1205 on the ground. Last year he had 814 and missed 3 games. So it's one of them things where like that dude could have definitely went for 1K again, which would have been
hurt. Was playing with a metal thing in his shoe, but whatever.
I mean, that's been 4 out of 2.
Talk your stuff, D.
I mean, yeah, no, I ain't got no questions. I think Najee could definitely can firmly see himself in that number 2 spot.
And that's the thing. Like, you guys have to understand the flexibility of your running backs. Your running back catching passes too. Like, I know he gets stuff on rushing yards, but like, how many touchdowns is this man getting? That's not necessarily rushing touchdowns. Like, how valuable are you of an asset you are to your team? And Najee is an asset.
Joe is definitely 7.4 yards per reception, 7.5 yards per reception, 6.6 yards per reception, 8.2 yards per reception, 9.6 yards per reception, and had 2 touchdowns last year, 3 touchdowns the year before, and he had a total of 5. You know, the 3 years prior to that. So I mean, it's an argument, but Joe might not even be there next year. Who knows? He might be there
this year.
I'm hear you. I'm still going to insert JK into this conversation. You know, he didn't get to play his second year, obviously his sophomore year, because he was out the entire season along with the other running backs. And he only played 8 games last season, right? Because of the injury recovering. He only played 8 games and still put up 520 yards on the ground out of 8 games. So you imagine if he had played the other 9 games, would he have not clearly had over 1,000 yards? And on top of that, he was running on one leg because he wasn't healthy. So he got that 520 running on one leg last season, and he had his touchdown, 1 touchdown in those 8 games. But he definitely had some pivotal. But obviously, his rookie year was a very good year. Again, he didn't even start that year. He didn't start because we had Mark Ingram. So Mark Ingram started, and then they threw him in. So he had 805 that year. Again, if only that dude had started. But he averages 6.7 and 6.0 yards. That's just crazy. Last year, he had games where even on one leg, he was getting 8, 9, and 10 yards to carry in certain games. So like, he is really something. I really hope and pray that he's healthy this year. Nobody will ever fully understand how much of a loss it was for him to get injured in that preseason game against the Commanders and not be able to play that entire season. Like, it was going to be crazy. It's a loss that I don't think anybody really fully understands. But with him coming back and him being healthy this season, and even in this offense, and we're going to be passing the ball more, right? You know, we're still going to run the ball. We're never going to not run the ball. So I'm looking for him to be able to put up those numbers again. Bless you. I'm looking for him to be able to put up those numbers again. But based off the stats, if you're rolling in with Joe Mixon at 2, like, again, you cannot make an argument. You cannot get upset about that. Joe, we have really good running backs in our division. We're a smash mouth division. We're going to run the ball in our division, and we're always going to have really good running backs in our division. So it's tough.
Oh yeah, for sure. So now we get to the fun part. This is the fun part of the offense right here, or at least.
We haven't had fun already.
We definitely had some fun. Y'all
listeners are having fun.
But we're going to talk about the wide receiver groups, and I think this is where it starts to get a little more interesting in this division.
Here we go.
Because D can get active. I do think there's one team that's above everybody else, but some of the other teams in this division have definitely put themselves in the conversation. So, Ray,
finally,
I'm gonna come to you first. Who's got the best wide receiver room in the division?
I think we're all going to unanimously say the Bengals, right?
It's absolutely the Bengals.
Yeah, they tough. They have the best receiver and then the best receiving core in the division, and it's not particularly close. My truck, my truck.
Either.
Yeah, okay. 2, 3, and 4 becomes my issue, but I got the Bengals head and shoulders over the rest of the division.
Okay, so does everybody agree it's the Bengals?
Mm-hmm.
Does everybody agree it's the Bengals? D?
Mm-hmm.
You do? Okay.
I'm gonna say yes, but I ain't happy about it.
Okay. So now I guess since everybody unanimously agrees that it's the Bengals, I guess now my next question would be, who's the second best? Who put themselves in a position to compete for that second best wide receiver?
I'm gonna let y'all talk.
The way you was talking about the 500-yard receiving Elijah Moore earlier, it got to be Cleveland, right?
Nah.
Like the way we was talking about the great Elijah Moore, it's got to be Cleveland. No, not we. We is in the panel based on our host telling us.
We don't know him. That's what we all in consensus that we don't really know him.
See, that's where you got it wrong. Nah, that's not my take. But
I would still say Cleveland though.
Really? Okay.
I still say Cleveland.
Miss Genius?
Solely based on Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Who else in the division is good? And by Deontay Johnson's really good, but I don't think he's
That's how
as a core.
He's really good.
As a core, I mean, I'll give my take last. Miss Gina,
I can't even give her team props. Like it's like, oh, you hate like
because it's not even. It don't feel genuine. He's really good, but Amari Cooper's better than your whole squad. Like,
Miss Gina, who do you got as the second?
So again, this is just another one of those things where the argument for 2, 3, and 4. I figure in my mind, you can make an argument for 2, 3, and 4. You just can. I think it's very close. It's not like one is like the Bengals, they were clear cut, but these others are not clear cut to me, in my opinion. So I'm going to put the Steelers in 4, only because just somebody has to be 4. It really is. I just think the wide receiver core is young, but everybody knows, Pickens. Everybody's looking for that thing between Pickens and Pickett. Those two, they have a chemistry. And I expect we're going to see.
Gina, how could you possibly do this?
I'm going to see more of that. So Deontay, I'm sorry. I know Deontay has the yards.
How you gonna put together a team that ain't even played together yet?
I like touchdowns.
Your number one wide receiver is a tight end. How you gonna put that above?
No.
Wide receivers that played together.
Pass catcher, but he was our number one pass catcher. But my thing is, I feel Pickens, yes. But Deontay Johnson, it bothers me, even though he got 800 something yards, that he didn't get nary touchdown last year.
You can't leave him wide open. Like, what are we doing here? This is crazy.
The wide receiver core is
top receiver is a tight end, and you're telling me the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver group is number 4 out of the AFC North. That doesn't make sense to me.
Only because it's young, and you got a young QB.
But you guys never played together. You guys have not played with Odell Beckham Jr. Say Flowers has just now touching the field, and you're telling me they're better than Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers.
Let's not act like we don't know who OBJ is, and we
know who he is, but we don't know who he is when Lamar Jackson's throwing him the ball. You haven't played together.
Coming back from injury,
you have not seen them play together. This is insane.
So what did you say? What did you say? I missed that last thing.
No, I was just saying you haven't seen them play together. I'm not saying that they're not going to have chemistry, but it's insane to say someone that you're calling these guys young. The relationship with those receivers is young. It's not mature. You got a whole new OC, and you're telling me that group is better than a group that actually has chemistry. It's crazy.
So again, I'm looking at the fact that Deontay Johnson got not one touchdown last year. We know Pickens had some drop issues, but we know Pickens is a great wide receiver, right? Well, we believe he's based off of what he saw. I'm not hating on Pickens, Believe you me, they are Ravens fans that are still disgusted to this day that we didn't draft Pickens. So,
I don't know who that dude in the comments is.
Huh?
I don't care.
So I'm not even looking at him. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna go. I think you can argue between Browns, but based off of production, I'm gonna in this particular conversation, because I think I've ranked differently different times we've done it. I think I've probably ranked differently. You can go Browns, Ravens, then Steelers.
Okay. So D, where we at with it? Who's that number 2 spot?
I'm definitely going with the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 2. One, I just think that there is so much that you haven't seen. I mean, Allen Robinson is an addition to this team. I'm excited to see what he can do. I can't speak to what he has done. And I did see Calvin Austin in camp. I know the speed that he's bringing. You haven't seen him, but he is a weapon that I think people have forgotten about. And good luck. He is small, but he is extremely fast. So I can't wait to see him in the offense. And I know people want to sweat on Deontay Johnson and the amount of touchdowns that he had. Don't forget this team was horrible in the red zone. That had not a whole lot to do with the wide receivers. I mean, a whole lot to do with how the offense was constructed and the play calling all of itself. Horrible in the red zone. But you cannot, and you will not, and you cannot, in the way that Deontay Johnson runs routes, you cannot leave that man open. So don't disrespect him by the amount of touchdowns that he didn't have, because he is still an elite route runner. And we all know George Pickens is George Pickens, and he kind of stands off to the side by himself. So I'm not going to sit here and put them at 4, because I don't believe that, and I don't. So
you got Pittsburgh.
I have them at 2. And just because I'll put the Ravens on paper at 3 and the Browns at 4 right now, because we're just talking about wide receivers. And honestly, I should put the Baltimore Ravens at 4 simply because their top receiver is a tight end as of last year. I know on paper they look okay, but as of last year, their top receiver is a tight end. It's not a wide receiver. I should put them at 4.
So
I'm
going
going to put them at 4, and I'm going to put the Browns at 3.
Are we talking about going into this season, or
I'm
are you
just
talking
saying,
about where they are right now?
We're talking about like where they are right now, like as
Right
they're
this second.
currently.
Okay, so I'm going to stick with what I did then.
I'm just a little angry. So
for
they have
me,
4 now.
it's the Bengals at number 1 for sure. Like hands down. T. Higgins is a number 1 receiver on
your face, Ray.
18 to 19 other teams in the league, right? I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh at number 2, and simply based off of they can honestly go 5 deep. Like this receiving core can go 5 deep.
So can we.
Pickens, Deontay Johnson, like DJ, Allen Robinson, who's still a productive receiver. Calvin Austin brings speed and versatility to the offense. And then Hakeem Butler at 6'5", 227. You can't train that. Like, and running a 4.4. Like, you can't train that, right? He was yet to find a home in the NFL. Was in Arizona, never got a fair shake. Was injured. Bounced around. He was in the XFL, I believe, or the USFL.
Hakeem Butler?
Yeah, Hakeem Butler, I think, was in the XFL.
Like, I didn't even talk about him. I didn't talk about Hakeem. I watched Hakeem play for the Battlehawks, and I pray that he makes the squad.
Dude,
I just pray he makes the squad. Because he honestly was giving me Dez Bryant vibes, like the physicality he was playing with when I saw him play.
Well, Dez ain't 6'5", but
I'm just saying, like, from a physical standpoint,
with the Browns, and just based off the talent, I'll put the Ravens at 3, and then we'll see what happens when they hit the field. I'm gonna put the Ravens at 3, but the Browns, outside of Amari, right? Cedric, as much as I like Cedric, man,
I like Cedric.
Unproven. He's a rookie. Elijah, like y'all said, what has he done?
Yeah, I think I need to move the Browns. After I kept on thinking about that, I'm not sure about the Browns at 2.
Yeah, and then
it was based off of Amari Cooper for me. It was based off of Amari Cooper.
But yeah,
but
behind
we're talking about the entire core. If we're talking about the entire core, then
who are these receivers on the Ravens y'all talking about?
Did somebody hear somebody talking?
Who are these receivers on the Ravens y'all talking about?
Bateman. Who else? Oh,
Trash.
Aguilar.
Trash.
Aguilar.
Trash.
Hold on, Ray. If we talking about just their top four. Odell Zay, Rashad, Nelson.
Odell ain't been good in 3 years.
Hold on, the Browns.
Last time we saw
Amari,
Odell, he was scoring touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Let's not
outside of Amari Cooper. Have you seen Cedric Tillman play yet? Hold on, Ray. Hold on, I'm asking a question. Have you seen Cedric Tillman play a snap?
Nope.
Okay.
Right.
Elijah Moore, you didn't even know. Elijah Moore.
I didn't even know what.
You didn't even know who he was.
No, she didn't know who he was. I knew who he was.
I didn't understand. I ain't seen
Lamar. So I want to make sure. Cortland, this is the kind of stuff you do. You went from posing a question to us of can Elijah Moore be the number one to now he ain't worth nothing.
No, I'm taking what y'all said. I'm just the host. This
Why
ain't about
I'm just the host.
For you to pose a question to us of can Elijah Moore be the number one? That means you feel he has enough talent and potential to usurp Amari Cooper as the number one. And now you're making it like he's nobody.
I'm just going off
not a single receiver on the Ravens roster been good in the last 4 years. None of them.
So Elijah Moore, and then outside of those three, who are their projected top three, right? Cedric Tillman, Amari Cooper, and Elijah Moore. Marquise Goodwin, who ain't been solid since when? Like,
you're talking to me about Cleveland. Talk to me about Baltimore.
I gave you Baltimore.
Tell me a receiver on Baltimore.
That's all we want to talk about is the Ravens.
I just want to talk about the facts. Like, listen.
I didn't know that you were
Odell didn't hurt.
Right.
Odell's been hurt.
That's all we want to talk about is the Ravens.
No, I just want to talk about the facts.
But that's not unusual. That
hold on, wait a minute.
You can use this mechanism all you want. I'm simply saying, how y'all got the Ravens anywhere but fourth on wide receivers?
Odell is a solid receiver. We see what happened when he came back.
Cortland, when was the last time he was good? When was the last time he was good, Cortland? Last year he didn't play. The year before that he caught for 537. The year before that he caught for 319.
He was in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, who we all know is trash.
Because he caught for 1,000 in Cleveland too. He caught for 1,000 in Cleveland.
On the team for just half the year. After being on the team for just half the year.
Right. You're not gonna go me in the. You're not gonna go me.
I'm saying we talking sports, right? When the last time Odell been good? It was 2019. We going into 2023. He ain't been good since 2019.
So Ray, you don't think he can go for 1,000 this year?
Bro, again, every take y'all giving about the Ravens is what if and we wish. I'm simply saying, bro, like I ain't got nothing against him. If we gonna talk sports, how are they better than Pittsburgh? How? If we talking about Mike
I didn't say they were better than Pittsburgh. I got Pittsburgh. I got Pittsburgh at 2. I got Pittsburgh at 2.
Yeah, but how they better than Cleveland?
Outside of Amari Cooper, they just as unproven.
Right. Outside of Amari Cooper. Who's in Amari Cooper in Baltimore? Who's their Amari Cooper?
I would say Odell now.
And he ain't been good in 4 years. So next.
That's not true.
So you don't think so we had to rank the top 4. Hold on, Ms. Gina. If we had to rank the top 4 receivers in this division.
Because he hasn't played a full season.
Is George Pickens better than Odell?
Yes.
Okay.
So again, Cortland, you're basing that on what you want him to be. He ain't been good since 2019.
And about what I want him to be, you said he ain't been.
Okay, Cortland, let's talk sports. Tell me what he did last year. He didn't play.
He didn't do nothing. He played.
Okay, what did he do the year before that, Cortland? 500 yards. What did he do the year before that? Okay, so you're basing it on what you hope he is when he gets back on the field.
Super Bowl MVP is what he was doing the year before that.
Y'all hope he be good. Nelson Aguilar, great name, 300 yards last year. Devin Duvernay, 400 yards last year.
MVP in the Super Bowl game with the Rams. The Rams do not get to and win the Super Bowl. He did not have OBJ with them. So let's not do that. He was on his way to being the Super Bowl MVP in that game. And only after having been with them that half of the season, after being traded away from a team where he wasn't targeted like he should have been.
In 7 starts, he played 8 games with the Rams that year in 2021. He played 8 games. He played 6 out of 6. He had no touchdowns, but he was averaging 13.6 yards per reception. He had 17 receptions for 232 yards. Right? We all know what the issues were.
He averaged 38 yards a game. 38 yards a game.
We all know what the issues were because everyone
And
saw
he was
it.
y'all called number 2 because we know Cooper Kupp existed.
38 yards a game.
That's true. No, Cooper Kupp was definitely one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, he was there number 1 there for sure.
Right. So then he goes to the Rams and he basically trumped and without playing the game because he sat out a week because he sat out the Thursday night game. He came back. When he came back into the game or started playing games with them, he played 7 games. He had 305 yards, but had 5 touchdowns, which is 5 more than he had the first half of the season. And that was without an ACL in his knee, according to him. That's not me. That's what he said. His doctor said that he was playing without an ACL in his knee.
But what
now that the man is completely healthy, now that the man is completely healthy and he gets a full season to play.
And let's stop with the completely healthy narrative. I don't think there's any football player that's a completely healthy playing. Sorry.
Well, going into the season,
I played the game. I played the game, and I can tell you what dinged up. I can tell you what dinged up feel like and what completely healthy. And when you have a year where you don't play football, you get a chance to go out, you get a chance to recover, hydrate, and properly take care of your body.
So this is what I'm saying. Nobody's going into a season completely healthy, especially through a training camp.
They are. These dudes ain't playing with pads on.
They're considered healthy going into the season unless they get injured or something.
All right.
Yeah, I would just like to say.
That's what they say, D. They say game 1 basically is the healthiest a player is because after they start playing, we know it goes down.
Yeah, we know the best.
I've been playing. I play football all my life. I'm not as people. I wake up with aches and pains. I'm not completely healthy, but I get what you're saying.
But D, I just want to say, for any disrespect you thought I threw in this show, you should be offended. You should be offended that they think the Ravens receiving core is better than yours. You should be.
I didn't say that. I said the Ravens were number 3.
That's cat too. They ain't better than Cleveland.
Number 2.
They ain't better than Cleveland. Cortland, just tell me one receiver on the Ravens roster who's been good in the last 3 years.
Tell me one receiver outside of Amari Cooper that's going to be 1,000-yard receiver.
Can you tell me one? Tell me a receiver on the Ravens.
I call you a bet. I call you bet, and I raise you one more.
Got it. Tell me a Ravens receiver that had 1,000 yards in the last 3 years. I'll wait. One.
Mark Andrews.
That's you got. Zay Flowers, Mike Thomas, Rashad Bateman.
Hey, this is projections, though, right?
It didn't finish the season.
Man.
But this is projections. You going off of Amari Cooper as your strength, as your rock. That's what you're going on.
Wait a minute.
That's why
How do you make projections,
though? About going into the? You talking about going into the?
As they're currently constructed, what's on their roster? What's on their roster as of July 20th?
And everybody is considered healthy.
And everybody's considered healthy.
But how do we develop
wide receiver room?
How do we develop opinions of players? We don't develop our opinions of players based on what they've shown us.
What have you done for me lately? And
in general, not even lately. We base our opinions based on what we've seen, right? That's why we all laughed at the Elijah Moore question.
Odell Beckham, when I seen them last, was on pace to be the NFL, to be the Super Bowl MVP.
She said that, so you just repeated.
No.
She said it, so
before
you
Miss Gina has said, Miss Gina, how much
Cooper Kupp went crazy. How bro, y'all man.
Cooper Kupp was going crazy. What did Cooper come on, bro? Odell was going off before he tore his knee.
She said it, so you just went with it.
No, that has nothing to do with
it. Last time we saw him,
I say the same thing.
I said on his way to being an MVP.
No, wait. I said it when I said it when they picked him up. I said you got the guy who was on pace to be the NFL.
So I just want to make sure.
Don't do that.
So I want to make sure. So because he had 2 receptions for 50 yards, he was on pace to be an MVP. He had 2 receptions.
That was just in the first quarter.
So that's what I'm asking. So he had 2 receptions.
He had 2 touchdowns.
He had 1 touchdown. Let's not make stuff up. He had 1. So he had 2 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. He was on his way to being MVP.
He was cooking.
Yeah,
he was cooking. He was cooking with 2 receptions.
For 50, an average of 25, and a tutty. What are we doing?
I already made my argument.
So he got the ball thrown to him 3 times. He had
all right, Ray. Hey, when's the last time you played in the NFL and you had 25 yards per catch?
Here you go with that stupid shit, dog.
All right, bro. Come on, bro. Let's not doing that. Let's not do that.
Where we?
That's the thing.
When the last time you played?
And we saw what was going on in that game. And we saw how that offense was running through him. We all saw that.
That's when you know your argument whack when you said, "Did you play in the NFL? Did you play in the NFL?"
Downplaying a professional player
That's
was
what we
cooking
do.
in
We're
the biggest
sports analysts.
stage.
We've been downplaying professional athletes this whole show. That's what we do. That's what we do. What you talking about? My opinion ain't no less credible because I ain't played. Ain't nobody. We got 2 women over here.
My little brother had to cook.
They played.
saying
My little brother
Their
had to
opinions
cook.
don't matter because they can't play in the NFL because they women. Y'all opinions don't
I
matter.
didn't say that.
That's
never
what
said
I'm saying.
that.
All I'm saying is, and Micah
don't
brought
even
up
know why
her
you made
point,
that.
right? They took Cooper Kupp out of that game, and who was the guy to go to? OBJ. He caught the ball. That's his job. He did his job.
Because Stevenson wasn't doing nothing.
Hey, Auntie,
So-
you said you don't know who her name was.
Come on,
You
bro.
talking about the women and the football statement?
No. Just you. Prior to that too, you saying doesn't make my opinion invalid. Like who stood up here and said that anybody's opinion was invalid? Like,
No,
nobody
he
did
didn't
that.
say
Hold on.
that.
So, Auntie, I know I've been beefing with you all show. You didn't hear what he said? I made a comment about Odell Beckham, and his response was, "When the last time you played in the Super Bowl?"
Because
Ray?
you
So
said
now
he
you're
had
in
just
that.
I did not hear that. I
You
did
said he
not.
was-
Ask him. That's what he said.
Hold on, right? You said because
I
he
did not hear
said
that.
he had 2 receptions and 50 yards and a touchdown. For some dudes, that's an entire game.
Again, how does that reach the point of Ray
That he was
you playing
cooking?
the Super Bowl?
That he was cooking.
All right,
Portland,
host.
how does
He
that
wasn't.
change? How does that change to Ray?
Right?
you
Tell
playing
me
the
he
Super Bowl?
wasn't.
Look,
I just told you he wasn't.
He was going to end the
Yes.
game. Hold on, Ray. He was going to end the game after 60 minutes of football. He was going to end the game with just 2 receptions and 50 yards.
I don't know what he was gonna do. I know what happened.
Gonna get him spicy.
All right, Ray. We moving on.
Yeah, move on, dog.
We moving on.
Hey, that's
man.
when your argument weak.
We moving on.
Your argument weak as
We
hell.
gonna have
when
a
you gotta
whole
say,
nother
did you
show.
play?
We gonna hash
Did
this
you
out.
play?
We
Did
gonna have
you
a
play?
whole nother show.
We
Did you play?
the host is
Come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, we're not doing that, bro. Like, cause he. Oh, what has he done? Like, bro, the man was hurt. He was injured last year.
My bad. Hold on. You know what? I apologize, Cortland. I'm looking on Pro Football Reference to see Cortland Griffin stats. Oh, I don't see him. So you ain't played just like me.
I mean,
You ain't played just like me.
That's
You ain't
fine.
played just like me. So what you talking about?
Oh,
That's
Weak ass
fine.
argument, dog. Start losing the argument.
what
Start
did he-
talking crazy. You ain't
he
playing the
what his
Super Bowl.
numbers
You didn't
were
either.
when
You
he
sitting here with
went
me
down.
on StreamYard. Talking crazy.
Like this is, but
I love
like
it.
it's crazy. People understand what people like. It's crazy, but
it's all love. It's sports. It's
no,
sports.
it's really my big
That's
brother.
what
Like
we
this is
do.
what
That's
what
what
we
we
do.
do.
Yeah,
It
Like,
ain't nothing
all love.
That's what we
nothing
do.
personal.
We get
But-
heated in the moment.
No,
It takes-
it's
it
no
takes a lot to- This is probably the only
hate.
time
It's
I
no
yell
hate
in
here.
real life because I
Yeah,
hate.
no, it's
yelling.
no hate here. Ray my dog, like
D seen this in person.
Ray my dog. But no, we gotta get to these defenses. Ray, you done got me. I'm supposed to be hosting, man. Like,
Right, you got the host is over here hot.
but so best defense in the might be losing my voice. These people probably looking at me crazy. But
Can I go first?
no, yeah, you
Yeah.
I was coming to you
I
first
want her
anyway.
so she can stop saying I'm hating on their team. By far the Baltimore.
No. I didn't say hating. See, I said all you want to talk about is the Ravens. That's what I
Because
said.
y'all was because
I
people
didn't
was
say
capping.
hating.
I just got to call it out. But
I said all you want to talk about is the Ravens. So.
It's Baltimore, man. Like their track record speaks for itself. I believe with like it was a perfect combination of when you have a quarterback who, again, I felt like had some limitations. I'll say that much. I won't say he can't throw. I feel like Lamar Jackson game was he did some things well and there was some things he didn't do well. But paired with that defense,
defenses, bro, ain't no reason to bring up
I'm simply saying when we talk about how successful the Baltimore Ravens have been, it's like a match made in heaven with what he does on offense and the defense doing what they do. Like it's literally a match made in heaven because they run the ball a lot, which means they're going to time of possession, field position, all that good stuff. And then their defense is always rested when they get on the field and they're stout. Like if you look over the past, 19 years, they always top 10 in points allowed. Last year, they was third. Year before that was a down year. And I think a huge part of that was with Lamar not playing. Like they were 19th in points allowed. But when you ain't got your go-get on offense so your defense can rest, that matters. But then the year before that, they were second in points allowed, third in points allowed, second, sixth, and ninth. Yards allowed, ninth, seventh, fourth, first. They're going to show up consistently year in, year out. Their defense is going to do their job. So in this division, for me, it's easily the Baltimore Ravens at number one. Is that okay, Auntie?
D, we're gonna come to you. We're gonna come to the
I do agree. I will give the Baltimore Ravens the edge here today at this moment. So yeah,
that hurt her soul.
Man.
I give them the edge here. I mean, I won't talk about my team at the moment because we're talking about who's number one, but I give it to them gracefully.
Okay, so we got 2 votes for the Ravens. Virginia, you gonna break this up or
You
you
know,
gonna
I'm
stick?
sitting here running through the defenses. I'm running through, who's the edge rushers. I'm running through the linebackers. Your D line. I'm looking at
Collectively, I'll give it to them.
the
That's it.
secondary and all that kind of stuff. And we've talked about it even amongst Ravens flock ourselves. Looking at secondaries and looking at pass rush where people try to say we don't have any pass rush, which is crazy. But I think as a whole going into the season, I think you can make a couple arguments for a few teams here. I'm going to be honest. I think much like running backs, we have good defenses. Now the Browns defense wasn't good. Like you could just run through them last season. But I think that'll be different this season, right? With the changes that they made on defense. And I think their pass rush is going to be much better. It's going to help. But they have a top secondary. The Browns have a really good secondary. But I'm not going to disagree with y'all. I do think our defense going into this season, can definitely be number one. But our defenses are always going to rank high. We're going to rank in the top 15 in the league for the most part. I think you'll see all of our defenses rank in the top 15 in the league. But yeah, I think the defense, the Ravens defense will be like that. And because of something that, that Ray said, with our offense being back on tap, being able to let our defense rest. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to see Ojabo and Owe out there, the Nigerian brothers. I just watched a podcast with Ojabo today. Like that dude, he is something else. But seeing those two guys out there to go with Tyus Bowser, and I'm still hoping we bring Justin Houston back. I would still love to see us bring Justin Houston back. But yeah, I think those guys are going to be a problem, and that's automatically going to help. Your secondary. We didn't bring back Marcus Peters this year. I don't know if they're bringing him back. But bringing over Yassine, I think that's going to work out well in this defense. Like he was basically over there kind of by himself on the Raiders. But being on the other side of Marlon Humphreys and some of our other guys, yeah, I think, and our DC.
I think Kyle take a step up this
second
year
year now. What'd you say?
I think Kyle Hamilton will take a step up this year.
Kyle. Oh yes, girl. Our 2 safeties, Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams. Like that's trouble right
that's
there.
That's like y'all. I'm telling y'all, this is a secret, but like Marcus Williams is like my new NFL crush. Don't tell
Kyle
nobody.
Hamilton was definitely graded.
Like that dude was leading in interceptions before he got hurt last year. He was leading in interceptions. So yeah.
No, I'm sorry. He wasn't graded as the best. He was graded in the top 5 though, like at his position. So that's definitely something to look at. I think the Ravens do have the better defense in this division.
Collectively, y'all. I just want to say.
But I ain't gonna lie, we have good defenses. Like the Steelers defense, the Bengals defense, and I think the Browns defense will be back. We really have good defenses in our league. In our division. So yeah, it's going to be tough. That we're not going to be making it easy for each other at all.
No, y'all gonna beat up on each other, which is a tradition for this division. But we got to break these defenses down now. We kind of got to now break this down into 2 different groups. And the first group I want to talk about is the DBs, right? Like y'all, we just talked about wide receivers, right? Somebody got it in the pass happy league, right? You got to.
Are you going to break up DBs, or are you going to do them as a whole?
No, as a group. So in complete secondary, right? Who you got as the best secondary in this division?
It's hard. I wish I could say us, but I just can't, just because the lack of experience playing together. I just can't say us right now. Honestly, it hurts my soul, but no, it wouldn't be us. It honestly wouldn't have been us last year either. So best in the division secondary, I'll give it to Marlon and them over there. Even though they do use I feel like they lost a little bite with not having Marcus out there, but I'll give it to the Ravens here for the DBs.
Okay, Ms. Jean.
So I break them up in my brain. So we're talking about cornerbacks. I would have to give it to the Browns as far as the cornerbacks, but definitely not the safeties. The Ravens have the safeties. The Bengals have very good cornerbacks, but we
So
know
wait, you're grouping safeties and like what are we doing?
It's
Let me
safeties
so
and
he
it's
did
safety
the whole room.
DBs.
So cornerbacks
Okay,
and
okay.
safeties
All right,
together.
all right,
Yeah.
all right. Okay.
So he
Just
didn't break
making
them
sure.
up, get them together. So Marlon is clearly a top 10, if not a top 5 cornerback to go with our safeties who both rank in the top. Marcus Williams and my boy Kyle. Yes, and my boy Kyle Hamilton. So this one is a little tough because I think certain teams have better corners than safeties, and other teams have better safeties than corners. So this one is a little bit tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
When you have to do them all together. I'm gonna say the Ravens here just to add Marlon, who's definitely in the top 10 to go along with the safeties that we have. And I think the Rock Yassin being over there and all that, I think that's going to work out well for us. And then it gets close when you get to the Steelers. Unfortunately, would be in 4, but I think that they're going to play well, right? But just based off of what we're seeing right now, as far as who is at 2, it's like the Bengals lost those safeties they had that played very well, but the Browns, they have very, very good cornerbacks. Eek. I'm
Jesse
gonna
Bates
go.
is out in Cincinnati, so.
But Awuzie is coming back, but they said he's really healthy and everything. This is so tough. I'm trying to pick between the Browns and the Bengals, and it's really tough for me. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Browns here and then Bengals, but it's like a smidgen. Like it's nothing dramatic. It's just a smidgen, to be honest.
I want to see life after Jesse Bates for the Cincinnati Bengals. I just do. I know they try to downplay him, but I want to see life after Jesse Bates for Cincinnati.
Right, who you got, man? Who you guys the best DB group in the division?
I would just like to start by saying I got Cincy. Like you talking about Jesse Bates, they lost Eli Apple too. Like that, there's gonna be tough.
I think Eli's still on there, isn't he?
He's on the team, ain't he?
I think he's still on there.
He was a free agent.
He gone. I can't remember who he signed with, but he gone. I know that much. He gone. On paper, on paper, I'm so tempted to say Pittsburgh. Just on paper, like with the addition of Patrick Peterson, I don't know how Joey Porter slipped that far in the draft. I really don't. I have no idea. Like
it was destiny.
We was doing mock drafts, and I had that kid top 20, right? Like so, he fell to them. And then obviously, man, Fitzpatrick, like we seen what that was about last year. I really believe, especially with they coming into the season, Pickett's gonna be the number 1 from day one, and I think Pittsburgh gets back to that blue collar smash. But like I think we see the old school Pittsburgh, the defense that we're used to seeing, and I think it will be like it's always been with the secondary, old school, like with Trey Palomalo. Again, Patrick Peterson coming in, that veteran leadership anchoring that defense. I like their secondary a lot. I have them at a coin flip with Cleveland.
At 1? For 1?
Yeah. And
I got so much to see. I get it. Like I understand it. I respect it.
And that's my only hesitation is I haven't seen it. Patrick Peterson isn't what he
tries. Like
was.
I just haven't seen it. I love Levi Wallace. Love what he did last year. I got to see it as a group. I got to see it. Sorry. I love y'all. And you know how I feel about Minka Fitzpatrick. Like, come on now. I love that man.
Are those all Minka?
No.
And if individually,
he only signed Minka.
It's a coin flip for me. Who's the best defensive back in this division? And it's between Denzel Ward and Marlon Williams. Like it's between one of those two.
Marlon Humphrey.
I was saying two of them together.
Marlon Williams.
It's Marlon Humphrey. I'm mixing their two names.
I feel like Marlon Williams is a player somewhere too.
No, the other they got another defensive back named
Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams. Yeah, I was mixing their names.
Marcus Williams and
y'all know
Marlon
who I was talking about.
But okay, I'm a kindly disagree. I think as a full room, right? I think it's definitely Baltimore. Rocky Sin is one of the better man coverage corners in the game. Marlon is, of course, Marlon, right? Marlon is when he's healthy, he's up there in the top 5 conversation at cornerback every single season when he's healthy. Is he the best in the game? No, but he's definitely one of the best. Kyle came in as a rookie and he was him, like from day one. He just played well. Marcus Williams, I think they are like in the top. I think they were graded out. Him and Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams were graded out as in the top 5 safety groups, like one of the top 5 safety groups, tandems, I should say. And then you got Jalen Armour Davis, who's going to come back healthy, manning that slot position. So as much as Miss Gina says she's going to miss Marcus Peters, you got to do, man. I mean, JAD he was nice at Bama. You know what I mean? I think he's going to come back and play very well. So as a group, but it's not a big gap for me. I agree. I think Cleveland is right there. Like Cleveland is right there. Greg Newsome is that dude. AJ Green III is nice. He's solid. I love him at Virginia Tech. He's a very good corner. Denzel Ward, when he's not missing time and he's healthy, is arguably right there with Jair Alexander as the best cornerback in the league. So, and then Grant Delpit, I think he just needs to figure out what he wants to do. Does he want to be in the box? Does he want to drop back in coverage? I don't know. And then Jawan Thornhill is one of the better. They have a good group back there. They do. Yeah, they do. And they're young. Like Grant Delpit, I think is only in this like 4th year, 5th year. Jawan Thornhill, I think, is still in his first 6 seasons. So they're solid and they're young. I think health is a big thing for them. So once I see them completely healthy, playing a full 17 or at least 14 out of 17, then we may be able to bump them up over Baltimore. But I can't give them that over Baltimore. I think the Bengals have the worst secondary in this division. And
I like Cam Taylor-Britt and I like Awuzie. Awuzie is coming back from injury. But I like Awuzie and Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yeah, but we going off of just what they have, right? DJ Turner, they added DJ Turner. He's a rookie, right? They're counting on him to come in and be.
And the second-year guy, what's the second-year guy?
Mike Hilton.
Dax Hill?
No, not Mike Hilton.
Dax Hill?
No, don't get me wrong. Mike Hilton's good. But
Dax Hill?
Whatever, but who's the second-year guy that was
Dax Hill? Dax Hill.
Dax Hill, okay.
Yeah, but Dax Hill is nice, but again, he's young, so you can see guys, have a good season and then not. Nick Scott, we still don't know what you got in Nick Scott yet. Jordan Battle is a rookie, but again, like we can see, like DJ Turner and Jordan Battle can come in and turn heads. We don't know, but I think as a whole, right now, like Patrick Peterson is solid, still one of the better corners in the game. Keanu Neal, one of the better box safeties in the game. You got DeMonte Casey. Minka is one of, if not the best safety. I can't say the.
You say the. When you say the Minka Fitzpatrick, you say the.
No, we ain't saying that because there's a guy over in LA. It's a guy over in LA right now.
Derwin,
it's two dudes.
It don't even sound right. The Derwin James. No.
And it's a dude. They call him the mayor of Murfreesboro.
I don't know.
Number 31 for the Titans. He got an argument.
Yeah. I'm not even high. If you want to keep bringing up Tennessee, we ain't talking about that. I gotta go.
But then Joey Porter. But then Joey Porter Jr. is also. I'm like Ray. I thought he would go to Pittsburgh in the first round. I did not think he would fall to the second round.
I knew they weren't going to pick him first round.
And I mean, it was fate, right? That's all you can say. So I think they're young, still young, right? They got some proven guys on that roster, but they got to meld together and get that, get that communication down, like D said. So I got them fourth, but that's not like a y'all suck fourth. It's a y'all just not the best in this division. Yeah.
To me, that's the entire thing for all the rankings in our division, in my opinion. It's not that it's so far apart. It's just you have to put somebody first, somebody second, somebody third, fourth.
Yeah. I would just say the Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot to prove, and I'm okay with that because I know they're capable. I just want them to prove it.
I mean, y'all got Mike Tomlin. I mean, he's arguably.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin ain't playing
top 3.
defense. Mike Tomlin is coaching. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys got to go out there and execute. It's one thing to be a motivator, but they got to go out there and get it done. I believe that they can. I think they have the right pieces. I just, cohesively, I got to see it.
I mean, now Alex Highsmith, that boy had 14 and a half last year. So
yes, put some respect on his name.
So we're gonna get to this though. So that's going into it. That's a good segue, right? Best linebacker group in the division. And we can count outside linebackers, right? If you 1, 2, 4, you can count the outside linebackers in that. I'm gonna come to you, D.
It's us. We number 1. I don't care. When you have TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith on the ends, I don't care who you put in the middle. I don't even care. Put me in the middle. We still gonna be the best. I mean, that pass rush is just amazing. It is chef's kiss. TJ Watt being healthier than he was and hopefully not missing as nearly as many games than he was. If you see just the numbers are miraculous over when he's in the game and when he's not, just as far as a losing win column for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I mean, you just have to give credit because you cannot. And for Alex Highsmith, y'all, to be leading the league in sacks without TJ Watt on the opposite side, like does that just not speak volumes for his physicality? Does it not? It does. So I'm going with them number 1. Like that's really not much for me. And we have a lot of turnover in the line and inside linebacker position. So I'm excited about what the new guys are going to do. So that is definitely a downside to it. But because of those bookends right there, I'm just so confident. I'm still giving us a number 1 seed. Okay.
Ray.
I felt like she waited all show for that moment. Like it was like, oh y'all, yeah, like that. And she ain't told a single lie. Like I don't even think that. Again, I speak my opinion so emphatically. Be like, I don't think it's close, but I don't think it's close. Like I think it's Pittsburgh, and I don't think it's close. Not much of an argument.
Okay, Miss Gina, I know you got some pushback.
No. Here's the thing: it's because 2 of our teams run 3-4 defense, and the other 2 run 4-3 defense. And on our team, like particularly on our team, they're called outside linebackers, versus like Myles Garrett is the actual defensive end. So this is it. The whole linebackers conversation just gets sticky for me. I had that when we did the AFC North rankings for the Spaces So She Talks Football. I almost want to break it up as far as inside linebackers versus, outside linebackers. I think if you get into outside linebackers, because that's how they're classified. TJ Watt is classified as an outside linebacker. He's clearly a pass rusher, but he's classified as an outside linebacker, so you have to consider him as that. When I feel like, as far as the inside linebackers, the Ravens and the Bengals have 2 of the best as far as the inside for that team. And so that's where the struggle is for me. I feel like Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith are one of the top inside linebacker duos in the entire league. I probably can only think of one team immediately that comes to mind, the 49ers, who, most people will put at number 1, but it's not too many duos you're going to put in front of them. So that's what makes this whole conversation kind of convoluted for me. So obviously TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, they're linebackers, but they rush the passer. They do, fall back in coverage, but they rush the passer. That's what they're primarily doing. So it just makes the conversation a little, how are we talking about them? They're mostly on the line. So I'm not going to argue with having the Steelers there, but that's only looking at the outside linebackers. I think if you look on the inside, I wouldn't put them at number 1. It would have to be the Ravens, and I believe it's the Bengals I'm thinking about. I think it's the Ravens, the Bengals D-line I'm actually thinking about. So that's it's a wash for me. I'm not going to make an argument about it, but I think in one team, the inside linebacker core is elite and superior, and the other team, the outside linebacker core, are definitely elite. But you will be hearing from Ojabo and Odafe Owe this season. Mark my words, you will be hearing about them.
Whatever. Watch out for my man Mark Robinson from Ole Miss. He had a great year. He had a great camp, and then he got to play. he got to play a little bit last year, and picking up Marcus Golden. There are some guys, Cole Holcomb. There's some guys that you're going to get familiar with. There's a lot of changeover at that position in the inside linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I think you guys are going to get familiar with them very quickly.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say this. I think that when we talk about linebackers as a group, it's definitely the Steelers, but I don't think it's like not close, right? I think when because y'all got Cole Holcomb, who was the lead tackler for the Washington Commanders, so you got him over. He comes over. And Landon Roberts looked good, right? But Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt, I mean, you can't, like you said, you can't argue with them two dudes. TJ Watt, former defensive player of the year, and Highsmith led the league in sacks last year. And, no one saw Alex Highsmith coming, right? But then when you look at this, like, Ravens team, man, like she said, Owe and then Ojabo.
I'm not saying they're far away, but
they solid, man. And then, like she said, you probably got the two best, if not like the best tandem, I would say, right? And Roquan Smith and Queen. But then, you know what I'm saying, Roquan is definitely not too far behind when you talk about them top three dudes in the middle of defenses. He ain't that far behind, man. Like, it's Fred Warner, and you gotta talk about Roquan. Like, you gotta talk about him. So yeah, man, like we got through that. I can't believe I don't know what happened to Ray. I don't know what happened.
Enough of this.
Nah, I think he probably I don't know what happened to him. So
it was the Bengals line. I do like their linebackers too. Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson. I do like their linebackers too, but to answer that, everybody's honing in on the outside linebackers, and there's more to the linebackers than just the outside linebackers. But I guess you just have to pick something to be able to make a distinction, right, and make a decision.
For sure. So we do got to get to the top two storylines coming out of these teams in the AFC North. We rank the divisions or rank the positions, right? Now we start to talk about storylines. Like, this is the fun part, right? This is where you get to see what these teams, like, what are the things that we should be watching for these AFC North teams as we go into this 2023-2024 season. So D, I'm gonna come to you, right? You got the team that's, for lack of better terms, right? Y'all have been the class of the NFL, right? Regardless of record, the Steelers are always in that conversation because of who their coach is. So what are two storylines that we should watch for coming into the year?
I mean, I think like the cliche ones are going to be Kenny Pickett stepping up and having his quote unquote breakout season. But for me, I think the running backs are a good conversation to have. Jaylen Warren, he was one of my favorite pieces of that offense last year. And I'm so excited to see how he excels this year as well. We love Najee Harris. I absolutely do. But I also like Jaylen Warren. So having that tandem, having someone that was reliable as he was, I'm expecting that to get used even more. So that is a storyline that probably people aren't talking about that I would love to be on the forefront. And also just this young defense coming out, making splash plays. I'm so excited for that. It's not, I don't think it's expected. I think it's something that people are like, oh, you got Patrick Peterson, he's a vet. But yeah, we want to see Joey Porter. I want to see Corey Trice. I want to see the young guys out there making plays, the new guys making plays. I want the fans to fall in love with the guys that are just getting there, making a name in Pittsburgh for themselves. I think I want this defense to be a storyline of itself. So the running backs and definitely the new guys on the defense.
So I do this on every show, right? When we get to the storyline section, I kind of throw an extra in there of my own. So for Pittsburgh, could this be the first losing season
No.
that we've seen? under Mike Tomlin.
I think last year was your big window of opportunity for that. But I feel like there's so much motivation and chemistry. Those guys saw what happened last year, and they were able to do something and find something and build something that was incredible towards the end of the season. Like, you're one game away from having a losing season, and those guys persevered through that. And it was amazing to watch because no one thought it could happen. No one, everyone was in doubt. I was sat in the basement for a long time, like sitting with 3 wins and 7 losses or whatever it was at the time. Like, you don't see your team coming out of that when it doesn't seem like there's a glimmer of hope for you. So no, I don't believe that. And drastic things would have to happen. But even if we started out 0-3 or 0-5, I still feel like this team knows how to put something together to get wins. So I'm not in a place to say I think that they're going to have a losing season, because 1, I haven't seen it, and 2, they found ways to come back from being 2-7, 3-7, whatever it was. So gotcha. I believe.
Gotcha. Okay, so Ms. Gina, again, like another team that's perennially been at the top of this division. Outside of the last couple of years, right, due to injury and other things, what are the 2 storylines that we should watch coming out of the Ravens camp?
So I've kind of mentioned one multiple times, and I still want to bring that up again. I have big hope for Odafe Owe and David Ojabo. Like, I can't tell you how excited I am for those 2. They're bringing pass rush back again for our team on an elite level. We have pass rush, so it's not that we didn't have it, right? If you go look at the stats, we have pass rush, but on that elite level that we haven't had for a minute. I'm really looking for those guys to be so disruptive coming into this season, and we need that because we're facing T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. We got Myles Garrett, and now he has Darius Smith on the other side of him. We got, what's the dude on the Bengals?
I know who you're talking about too. Can't think of his name.
I don't know why his name is escaping me. That's always disruptive and in everybody's face. So we have some really good pass rushes on our teams in our division. But yeah, those 2.
Talking about Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson. Yes. So I just think that even though nobody is talking about them now and they don't know who they are, I believe by the end of the season, everybody will know who that duo is. And I don't want to forget Tyus Bowser. So our pass rush is huge. And obviously the other storyline, I think, is just going to be the Ravens being Super Bowl contenders this year. I firmly believe that they are. Not saying we're going to win, but I'm saying they are Super Bowl contenders. I think as long as our team stays healthy, we're able to put up the offense, and we just got finished talking about defense. We're going to be a tough team to beat when we're on the field. So we know, it's a new offense. Everybody brings that up, and, they got to gel, and you got to get comfortable. But every time I hear it's a new offense, what I hear is, so it's new for the defenses that are going to be facing them too. It's new for them too. They have not seen this Ravens team and this Todd Monken, led offense with this caliber pass catchers was clearly better than what we've had in a long time. With Lamar prayerfully and our guys just being healthy. That is the thing that it hasn't really been other teams. It's just been us not being able to stay healthy throughout the entire season and just missing key pieces. But with the changes that we've made with our strength and conditioning coach, which was huge. Again, another one of those things that people don't pay attention to, and all the other coaching changes. So hopefully that'll lead to our guys, actually staying healthy. I just think we have one of those, we could be in one of those kind of Cinderella seasons where we just, we just going to roll with it. If we don't get there, we don't get there. But for where I'm sitting right now, I believe that we can definitely get there. So I would say just our offense in general and that pass rush that we're going to have on that team.
Okay. I don't know what happened to Ravens, so I guess I'll cover the Browns and the Bengals. I think for the Bengals,
comment on that.
I need to throw you the question. So I'll say this. y'all got the receivers, right? Lamar, of course, got his money. So let's just say if Lamar, knock on wood, doesn't show up, right, in the passing numbers, right? He doesn't put himself in that elite passing market.
We're doing this again. Go ahead.
Would you say, Ms. Gina, he's still the worth the money, right? Still worth the trouble in the offseason?
Like not even an option, bro. It's not even an option. He's had the offense in the previous season. He's had the offense. He's gotten hurt and he's not had the best, play caller and the best pass catchers. But even with that, he's had the offense in the previous years. Like we just gotta stop. We just gotta stop. The man has been the offense on our team. He's won all. He came into this season 34-12. He came into this season 34-12. Like we gotta stop. That's just that for me, Cortland. And I know you just asked. I know you, man.
Right.
But that's not even the question for me. He's been able to put up with not having the best things around him. Going into this season, this will be the best that he's had around him going into a season, meaning the play calling and also the pass catchers to go along with obviously Mark Andrews and all of that. So I don't see, I'm not saying we win the Super Bowl, but I don't see how we don't put up more offense. And he is not more successful, and you get to see him be able to continue to dot balls and all that. Like, it's just like, why? Unless health, that would be the only reason, bro, health. And I'm just praying to the good Lord that he has mercy on our players and we can play the entire season. That's all. Just let us play the entire season. Like, we know all teams get injuries, right? We know all teams. I'm not disregarding that. But there are certain teams who just seem to have significant injuries to major key players on their team year after year. It happens a lot. It's happened actually the last few years in the AFC North, honestly. Particularly with the Browns, Steelers, and the Ravens. But, like the Ravens, the Chargers, the Saints, the Titans, it's just been certain teams that has just been ravaged by health issues, for key players on their team. So all we need to do is be on the field. If we're on the field, the job can get done. We just need to be on the field. That's it.
Yeah, we broke the record and then said it again. It was crazy. But so I guess the two I'll start with the Bengals, right? I get the two storylines coming out of that camp that should be watched for. That should be watched for is for the Bengals is cracking under pressure, right? I think the last 2 seasons they've been playing with house money, right? Burrow coming off of an injury, got Jamar Chase, which was his running mate in LSU. There was questions about the offensive line. They end up in the Super Bowl. Great. They came out of nowhere, right? Worst to first. Then last year, it still wasn't a lot of pressure, right? It was if you get Lamar Jackson healthy, the Ravens healthy, people had the Ravens winning that division in a lot of scenarios, right? Y'all had the injuries. So then you get there, it's Burrowhead, it's all this. We're gonna beat the Chiefs. We did it once, we'll do it again, and they fall short. Now you don't have Jesse Bates, you don't have Eli Apple, you don't have that contingency on that defense anymore, right? Then also T. Higgins, people now know who T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are. We know who what's my other guy name? Number 80.
Boyd.
Right.
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd. So you know who those guys are. And then Joe Mixon took a pay cut to stay. Right? They added, and then they added.
We saw what was going on.
No,
he on the market.
Joe Mixon would have got his
money.
Where you gonna go? I'm sure Joe Mixon would have got his money because he's still young. But
man, look, you see how this running back market going.
He took what was offered, bro. He took what was offered.
Yeah, he said he took a pay cut because he had unfinished business. But I mean, that's another story, right? Pay these running backs, man. But I know our running back is paid. I ain't worried about it. So,
back on Tennessee again.
But when I look at this team, I'm looking at is now, like I said, it's a Super Bowl or bust. And there's a reason why I asked that question. Is people are now looking at the Bengals and saying, okay, 2 years in a row, in the AFC Championship game. You've been to one Super Bowl and played a close game. Burrows is number two in a lot of circles. He's the number 2 quarterback in the NFL in a lot of circles. It's got to be, what do you do with the pressure now? Like now that people are looking at Cincinnati as y'all are that team, y'all are those dudes. What do they do? The second one, man, the second one is I want to see what happens now, right? You got guys that are bought into the system, right? And I want to see when Joe Mixon comes out of this second, in this first year of his contract, next year he's up for a contract. What happens, right? Like what do we do? Is it running back by committee, right? Because, does he stay healthy? What happens when that running game is not there like it's been, right? And you have to now rely on these receivers. So those are the 2 that I got coming out of Cincinnati. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that this is maybe a more pressure?
For me, Cortland, I would say is Joe Burrow's contract is a storyline or will be a storyline. I think most people are expecting it to get done this season, like before the season starts, maybe. So we'll see, right? We know him and Justin Herbert are hanging out there. They are the next 2 to get paid. It's been very quiet on the front, right? Nobody's really been talking about, like, we know it's out there, but nobody's really been talking about it a lot. I'm sure the Bengals fans have, but nobody brings it up a lot. But I think that could be a storyline. I think their O-line is a storyline. Is this the year that they finally got it right? With the people that they picked up. We know that's been a struggle for them, and
What's
it's
the dude
somewhat
from
hindered them. Orlando Brown.
Orlando Brown.
Yeah, so has kind of hindered them. We know that was a factor when they were in the Super Bowl. That was a factor that O-line couldn't hold. So I think Joe Burrow's contract as well, even though it's kind of been under wraps, but just seeing what's going to happen with that, and I think their O-line are definite, storylines for them going into this season.
For sure. What about you, D?
Not even just Joe Burrow's contract, but thinking, I could just hear them now saying, is this the last time this trio is going to be together? Things like that. Do we believe
like when they
in
said
the
Lamar
Cincinnati
played
Bengals run game?
the Ravens, yeah.
Yeah, is this the last time we're going to see these guys? Do we believe in the Cincinnati run game? Joe Mixon does not have the best history of health. He did have a great year the year prior. We saw some injury again the year, just the season that just passed. I'm not 100% confident in their run game, so that may be something. Orlando Brown acquisition is great. They thought their offensive line was going to be great to start the season because on paper, everything looked sparkly and new and fine, and we fixed all our problems, but we saw them struggle. They eventually got it together, but who's to say it doesn't happen again? So I think more so if people are going to be stuck on the trio, and if it's the last time this trio will be able to compete together as a unit.
I think that's an honest question, right? T. Higgins, like I said, on maybe 17 of the teams in the NFL is the number 1 receiver, right? Outside of now Tennessee, right? And I'm just using this because we don't have receiver, like we didn't have a receiver for this outside of Traylon Burks. Now we got D-Hop. T. Higgins would have been our best. No, I'm using this as an example because we were the worst, probably got the worst wide receiver core, like outside of, before Sunday, right? We probably had the worst wide receiver core in the league. T. Higgins would have been our number. You ain't gonna play us like that.
I mean, we have to good, but like, who else you got?
Bro, Traylon is definitely him, but we're not gonna do that. We're not talking about this. We are, but we're not.
You brought it up.
I know, but we're not. We are. We're talking about us, but we're not. I'm saying T. Higgins would have been the best receiver on that team. You put T. Higgins on a lot of teams, right? You put him on Houston, he's the best receiver. Tennessee, outside of, like I said, Sunday, he would have been the best receiver. Who else is in our division? The other two so irrelevant, I don't know. What with the Jags?
The best on the Colts?
It's arguable. I think you can argue that he's better than Michael Pittman.
I think he would be number one on the Colts.
Right. So you can argue that he's on the Colts. He's number one. So like with the Jags, I think the Jags are probably the only team where he's not the number one guy, right? Because you got Kevin Ridley, right? In Arizona, he's easily the number one guy. Outside of LA and San Francisco, you see what I'm saying? And Seattle, he's not the number one. So there's like you can take a lot of teams out of either division, any division, right, and stick T. Higgins on that number 85 on the team. He's the number one guy.
Agreed.
Tyler Boyd, outside maybe before T. Higgins took his ascension, people were talking about Tyler Boyd being a solid number one in the league. So it's questions because now we saw 2 years ago, AJ Brown, $100 million guy. Tyreek Hill left Kansas City to go get his $100 million. Terry McLaurin got his money. Debo got his money. So the cap only goes up. The number only goes up. The price tag only goes up. And for a guy like Jamar Chase, he's going to be $150 million, $200 million guy. T. Higgins is going to be $100 million to $125 million guy. Tyler Boyd, at this point in his career, he's still probably going to be a $60, $70 million guy. So when I look at that, Joe better get it done within the next year to 2 years. Yep. Because he may not, because you got to pay Joe, who's him and Justin Herbert are competing for who's going to be the first $600 million quarterback. Like that Mahomes contract reset the market. And then Dak came right behind that. And now you got Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia just reset the market. And it's now the highest paid 5-year average quarterback. And I think he's the highest paid player ever in NFL history. So it's him and Herbert right now. So if Herbert resets the market, you got to match that or beat it if you're Cincinnati.
They would have to beat it, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying you got to match or beat. And if you beat that, right, if Herbert is a 500, I'm gonna say let's say 500 because Mahomes 500 million is not a true 500 million. If Herbert is a $500 million quarterback, you gotta pay Burrow 550, 525 to 550, maybe 600. You gotta turn around and pay your top flight receiver another 150. That's your cap space. So,
but see, Cortland, here's the difference though. I think they prioritize what they want, who's important to them, and I think down through the years they prioritize wide receivers on their team. Like they might not have necessarily been prioritizing the O-line, right? We can say over the next several, but they've tried to fix it. And they obviously try to do some pieces on defense, but I think from a historical reference, they prioritize having good wide receivers. So I think much like how they let Jesse Bates walk and how they let what was the other safety? Let the other safety walk.
And then they let Eli Apple go. Eli Apple's a free agent. He hasn't even signed with the team.
Both of the safeties, I think they just have things that they prioritize, and they're going to pay the players that they prioritize. And I cannot imagine in any universe, in this one or the next one, where they would not leave that top wide receiver trio in the league. I just cannot imagine that they would break that up. I can't see it. So somebody else might not get theirs, but I think that they're going to pay who they prioritize. And I think Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and I mean, you might could bring a question on Tyler Boyd. I know they picked up that guy. What's his name? Charles Mercy. What's that wide receiver they picked up? I think they're high on. Maybe Tyler Boyd could be at risk. Maybe, right? He could be. But Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Burrow, I don't think those guys are at risk at all. There's some kind of way they're going to get paid.
And that's the crazy thing. I don't think we've ever seen a team that's had a $500+ million quarterback, $150 million receiver, and another $100+ million receiver, and had a team flesh out. So
I'm trying to tell you right now, I watched it all fizzle away when we had a running back, a top running back, a top wide receiver, a top quarterback. Even though people didn't think Ben Roethlisberger was a top quarterback, but whatever.
At that time, he still was. At that time, he definitely
yes, he very much was. But I watched it all fizzle away.
And y'all didn't even have to pay them guys yet. That's the crazy thing. Like they
got paid. AB got paid.
Yeah, AB got paid, but like Ben was still on his
Ben
contract.
got paid. AB got paid. They wanted to pay Le'Veon. Unfortunately, it wasn't, what he wanted.
And then Martavius got suspended, I think.
Yeah.
So it was crazy, but I still think to this day, man, I still think I should have kept my Sanders, man. I think I should have still kept that.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah,
I mean, he got what he wanted. He got to play with Peyton Manning and won Super Bowl and all that good stuff.
But we gotta move on to the Browns, right? Shout out to my guy Eric.
Lord,
yeah, shout out to my guy Eric Urbanowicz. He sent me some notes on the Browns.
Cool.
So we're gonna go with his storylines. The first one, he said, "Can Deshaun Watson turn the page and become what he once was again?" And like I said before we started, the quarterback rankings, he was once considered a top 5 QB.
He's been working out a lot, so watch out for him. He's been working with Quincy Avery in the off season, so watch out for the.
He was down in Cabo, making TikToks too. So
he's look, it's a completely different Deshaun Watson. The monkey is off his back, so
yeah. So, but what do y'all think? Do y'all think he can turn the page and be considered in the top 5 upper echelon of quarterbacks?
I don't know. He's playing TJ Watt twice a year, so maybe.
Mm-hmm. I think it depends on. I think he can. I don't see any reason why he cannot get back to very close, if not all the way back. Very close. Like the dude is young. He wasn't injured. These were administrative reasons why he wasn't playing. He wasn't playing, but it wasn't that he wasn't playing because he was injured. And it's just a matter of getting back in the groove, like riding the bike. Yeah. I see no reason why he cannot get back to. I don't think his talent went anywhere. I think it was just being rusty and out of practice. And the QB is it's not only physical, it's super cerebral, being the QB. Yeah. And so I think it was just getting back into the groove, mind, body, and soul.
Getting his confidence.
Right. I don't see why he wouldn't get back. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Browns can be very dangerous this season, because they can find that they finally may have that quarterback. If he gets back to being the Deshaun Watson that we know of, they can be super dangerous. That's the thing that they were missing for some time. So yeah, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't get back, to be honest. I would be surprised. I will frankly be surprised that he does not. I would be more surprised that he does not versus that he does.
Yeah.
Sure. I think he can. Like I said, I think it's a matter of, outside of Amari Cooper, they have to have someone step up, right? Whether it's Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, other than that, like I think they gotta have somebody. Yep. So we finna wrap this up real quick, so we can because I know this is actually the longest episode, man. This is crazy. Man. I didn't think y'all was gonna get this spicy.
It's crazy, man. Hey, bro, you don't
hey, Ray, my guy, man, and that's the reason why I love having him. I like having him on because
come drop a bomb and leave.
Yeah, he gonna put it all in your catcher's mitt. But so the second storyline for Cleveland. Eric says, what will the defense look like under Jim Schwartz? And can it look better than it did under Joe Woods? My take is yes. Jim Schwartz came to Nashville. And when he was the defensive coordinator here in Nashville in his first stint, the defense was a top 10 defense perennially his first 6 seasons here. Then he left. He went to Philly. He got them there, right? They were in the Super Bowl. He leaves Philly. They won the Super Bowl. He leaves Philly, comes back to Nashville, revamps his defense, helps Bruce Bowen become a viable defensive coordinator, and now he's with the Browns. I don't see why not. His track record says he's one of the best defensive minds outside of maybe Vic Fangio, right? He's probably the best defensive mind in the game. So, I mean, I don't see why not, right? They got the talent. They got the talent. They got, like we talked about, their secondary. My only question is them linebackers. The linebackers are kind of iffy to me. And that could change, of course, right? With this,
if we can get Myles Garrett back to being Myles Garrett, that'll be a plus.
Well, Myles Garrett got to stay on the field to be that, but yeah. So
that was like their venom, and I felt like they lost that.
Yeah, and so I think they can. I think this defense will look great up under Jim. I just think he needs time. Yeah, I just think he needs time to get his hands and his fingerprints in on this defense. But what you think, Machine?
No, I agree. I think bringing in Schwartz, I think that I expect that, as I said earlier in the cast, I expect that Browns defense to be back. I mean, for multiple years, they had a top 5 defense, top 10 defense. We know it was not that last year at all, not even close. But I do expect that defense under Schwartz that they're going to be back, and I think having Zadarius Smith on the other side of Myles Garrett is dangerous. I mean, he's been getting it done. He's been getting it done with just him. And, you know, he had Clowney, but Clowney couldn't stay healthy. It just seemed like the people he's had on the other side of him haven't quite been able to, you know, hold up their end of the bargain. But if Zadarius is able to come in and play, I know Zadarius had back surgery and other stuff too, but if Zadarius is able to come in and play, you know, 70, 75%, pardon me, of what he's done, that on the other side of Myles Garrett, you know, that can really spell some trouble because now you gotta look at it from both ends, not just the one side. So yeah, I think and that obviously we know the pass rush, that first level, right? That first level is going to help with that linebacking core, you know, because their D line looks good, and that's going to, and the secondary is already good. So I think that the defense. I think that their defense will be back and it will be good. And I think that D line is going to be something to be concerned about.
Oh, for sure. So those are the storylines for these respective teams, right? So for all of my AFC North fans or NFL fans in general, y'all heard it here on the halftime show first, right? Because ain't nobody else doing NFL preseason, you know, NFL offseason coverage like I'm doing it, right? I'm taking the entire NFL. So and y'all can clip these ladies, right? Celebrate these ladies for showing up. I appreciate y'all for showing up.
Clip me. Don't clip me. I've been clipped. I'm good.
But we got to get into the final segment of the show, and that's the divisional standings, right? How we think this division is going to shake out. This is the part where I thought it was going to get spicy, but they came out the gates with fireworks, and I thought July 4th was over. But I'm gonna put my divisional rankings at the bottom here. I just scrolling across, and I'll explain them. I do mine with the floor and a ceiling, and so I don't like to do like before we see preseason games played. I don't like to give hard, concrete wins and losses. I kind of do a ceiling. So with the Ravens, I think the ceiling is 13 wins, and that's counting that this is a tough division and they're going to get beat up on in the division. But I think they stay fairly healthy. I think Lamar, with this contingency of receivers and the weapons he has now, sky's the limit. I think the floor is 10. Like, I think 10 wins can win this division. And so it's and even if, right, even if they say they're 10 and the team that's second is 11, you still get in the playoffs, and I think they can beat some of those teams that are going to be scraping the bottom of the AFC playoff picture. With the Bengals, I have their ceiling at 11. I have their floor at 9. I just don't trust their secondary. It's a question, and I think even though they can score, it's going to be like the Chiefs a couple of years ago. Y'all can score, but can you stop somebody, right? And so we've seen the Ravens literally win a Super Bowl with a bum at quarterback, giving up 3 to 7 points a game, right? And now they got an offense to match that defensive power. So the Bengals are going to have to figure it out, but I still think their offense is talented enough to get it done at second. Man, the Steelers, man, I think you can never count Mike Tomlin off, count him out. And I got their ceiling at 9 wins. I got their floor at 8. Like, it's just it's a 1 game difference, right? And that's only because I feel like in the NFL, right, it's give or take, and I had to give them a floor, right? I couldn't say the ceiling is 9 and the floor is 9, right? That would be unfair. But the Browns, as much as I want to root for Deshaun Watson, I don't think this is going to be on him. I think this is just going to be on this roster needing to be turned over, and this coaching staff trying to put their stamp on the roster. The receiver core is a bit of a question still. And I think their ceiling is 9 wins. I think their floor is 6. And I'm gonna pass it to you, ladies. So that's how I got the division shaping out. And I had to stand 10 toes on my tape. I still have the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. I love that roster. Love what y'all did. I think y'all can get there. I think y'all can compete. Are y'all gonna go to the Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't like putting that kind of juju on teams. So, Ms. Gina, I'll come to you. How do you think that this division is gonna shake out?
So I'm going to continue to say I think it's open. I think most people have, favorited the Bengals and the Ravens, and there is a reason for that. But I think the division is open. I never count out the Steelers, and I couldn't even give them a floor. Like, I'm going to have to disagree with your floor of 8 and 9, because what is that based on? They haven't had a losing season since Tomlin has been the coach. So it's like we literally haven't seen it under his tenure. So I could never say that their baseline is going to be a losing season, because they haven't done it. And like she said, like last year, many of us thought that this could possibly be the year, the way that season started off, and still came out 9-8. So I don't even look for that. I'm gonna go. You can make an argument for Ravens or Bengals at number 1. I firmly believe the Ravens healthy, we win divisions. So I'm going to go Ravens 1, but you can go Bengals 1. I understand that. I'm going to go whoever is not 1 between the Bengals and Ravens 2, but I'm going to say that the Steelers could slide in. They could slide in because they went 9-8 with a rough season last year. A rookie quarterback, T.J. Watt hurt. Injuries in the second, like they had a lot of chips stacked against them, and they still finished 9-8. So what are we doing? We just know historically you just can never count them out. So they could slide in. I hear a lot of people saying they finish in last. I can't say that. I really can't. The Browns are like on I'm teeter-tottering with them, because to me it depends on what Deshaun Watson does. If Deshaun Watson is able to come in and play remotely like his own self, the Browns are going to be a problem, and they can slide in there. They can definitely slide in there. I'm not saying win the division, but I think they can slide in there, maybe looking at 2 or something, overtake somebody. But if he doesn't have it together, then that's going to be a struggle bus for them. And they got Nick. They don't have Kareem now, and they don't have Deontay Ernest. Yeah. So they have behind Nick Chubb, Dearness. I'm calling
Dearness Johnson.
Yeah, Dearness Johnson. Yeah, I'm mixing up 5 names. Yes, Dearness Johnson. So behind Nick Chubb, that running backs room is questionable now. So it's really going to be all on Nick Chubb, and we know that their offense will run a lot through their run game. So I'm just like I'm not sure where to call the Browns. Right? They could be in last place. They could be in third. They could surprise some people and roll in second. I don't see them finishing first. Not to say it couldn't happen, but I don't see them finishing first. So I'm going to go Ravens or Bengals at 1. I'm going to go Ravens or Bengals at 2, with the caveat that the Steelers could slide in, right? Could slide in and do some damage. And I'm going to say the Browns is really dependent upon Deshaun. That's why I say I think our division is open. You have some favorites, but I really think our division is open. It's just going to be what we put on the field, because we got good teams. All of our teams got better, and we're starting off the season healthy. If all of our teams stay healthy reasonably healthy throughout the season, it's going to be a problem. Taking down the division is going to be a problem. So that's the way I see it.
Y'all probably have the toughest division outside of the AFC West and the NFC West. Y'all probably have the toughest division. But D, I'm coming to you. How do you think this division falls?
Yeah, so I think, and normally I would talk and be like, oh, we're gonna win the AFC North, but honestly, I don't even want us to. Sounds bad, but like I feel like I don't want that pressure of being the top dog or whatever, whatever that is, right? So I'll let whoever wants to battle it out for 1. Let Cincinnati and Baltimore battle it out for number 1. But let me tell you something. Whoever is at that number 2, I think Pittsburgh definitely has a shot to be number 2 in this division. I'm not saying, and I want to say I don't believe that they don't have a shot for being number 1. I do believe that, but I don't even want that for them at this very juncture. But I do believe that they can be number 2 in this division. And so that 2 and 3 spot is definitely going to be a battle. And Pittsburgh, I see them being in that battle, especially to the end. I think we have the Ravens the last game of the season, and I mean, we always do. We always have someone, and we always play them at the very end.
Right.
And then last year we had them and the Browns. So it's gonna be an interesting road to the end. And but I have whoever you want to put, Bengals, Steelers Bengals and Ravens at number 1. Sorry, y'all know I'm dwindling fast. Okay,
got
you got Ravens, Bengals, one of them, and then I really want to put the Steelers 2, and then whoever from the 1 and 2 that didn't make it, hitting 3, and then I have the Browns at 4, just because. And for the record, you having a 9 and 8 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, my minimum for the Pittsburgh Steelers is always 10. 10 games is the absolute minimum for the Pittsburgh Steelers every single season. That I don't expect anything less. And 10 is kind of like the golden number for me. So whatever, 10 and 7 is the pure minimum for me. And the Browns, I just feel like they just still have this stench on them. I know they're trying, the organization as a whole is trying to just scrub that, give them a new look, paint them a different color or whatever. They just have this stench that just won't go away. So I still think they can shock people. I think they can surprise people. I think they can beat some teams that they won't have them beating. But I don't see them getting to the top of the division right now.
Bro, they got to change that name, bro. The Browns.
Yeah, they're trying. Slowly but surely, they're trying to change things to kind of get them to have this other identity, this new look, this new, they think positively about them. But they got to take one of them oatmeal baths or whatever the bath. You got to get that funk off you.
The all white is kind of crispy though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's nice. I'm trying to tell you, they're trying to get away from what it was and give a new look to it.
For sure.
I understand rebranding.
So Eric gave me his standings. His standings are Cincinnati at 1. He's got Cleveland at 2, Baltimore at 3, Pittsburgh at 4. He didn't give records or anything, but I'm gonna say this: I don't think that's a bad ranking for the simple fact we've seen Cincinnati be the cream of the crop the last 2 seasons. If Cleveland lives up to the potential of the roster, they could definitely be number 2. Baltimore being 3 is not a bad number 3. Like I said, like nothing in this division says like it's a bad number 4 or a bad number 3. If Pittsburgh is last in the division at 9 and 8, are they really a bad team? You know what I'm saying? They were just not the best in the division. If Baltimore wins 9 games or 10 games and they're 3rd in this division, and Cleveland ends up winning like 11, or if it's like 12 and 5s, right, or whatever, duking it out. It's one of them. It's one of them weird things. The AFC North is one of those weird divisions where you can have 3 double-digit win teams.
You could have 3 teams in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, like it's weird.
It's happened before.
Because I think it was like one year y'all had Cleveland had like 10 wins.
Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore were all in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, what is this? Like, it made me mad because that was also the year that the Titans could have made the playoffs, and we got put out because the Browns won that last game. Pissed me off. But
there we go.
I gotta slide us in there somehow, bro. I gotta still do this. But guys, so that has been the NFC. No, sorry, that's not. It's the AFC North. I am so sorry, y'all. That has been the AFC North halftime show, NFL Roundtable. I appreciate you ladies for coming through. I appreciate Ray for coming through. Eric, if you're watching, bro, it sucks that you couldn't make it, bro, but definitely appreciate you for even giving notes so I can go off of. So Ms. Gina, I'm gonna come to you. Tell the people where they can find you. Tell us what you got going on. And we're gonna,
first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. Had a good time. Definitely, I'm passionate. That's always going to come through, and that's never going to change. Never.
That's why I invited you.
Yeah, keep my quarterback's name out your mouth, though. Like that's never going to change. Keep my quarterback's name out your mouth. Unless you're talking about MVP, well, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I am Lady G, Miss Gina. You can find me on Twitter at She Talks Football, but one L, only one L at the end. She Talks Football. I host Twitter Spaces. I will be running back hosting the primetime spaces this fall. So for all the primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, and also holidays. That was great last season, running that back, and I also host spaces just for other specific things I want to talk about. We just finished the AFC North rankings series, actually. We just finished that about a week ago, and just any other specific ideas I just want to, get in and throw up a space and talk about. So you can definitely catch me hosting my own space or in somebody else's space, and I'm going to be talking. You can also find me on YouTube. She Talks Football is my YouTube channel. We're going to be starting back up with the podcast. Kind of took a break over this off season. A lot going on, but starting back up with the podcast in just a couple weeks with my own theme song and some other great things coming on. So I can't wait for you all to see that. And also you can find me on the Undroppables. If you do fantasy football, I do love fantasy football. I'm actually currently in the Sky Fish Bowl 13 right now. We're still drafted. I haven't, I got the draft one time today, so I don't know if it's going to make a round to me. I'm at the 101. But follow the Undroppables. Real fantasy football information, real time that you can use, information you can use weekly. It's the waiver wire, figure out who you should pick up, figure out who you should drop. If you're a person that likes to bet, you got information for that. What players should you be, putting any money on in Vegas on, I don't bet, but a lot of people do. So they have all of that. So follow the Undroppables on Twitter, also on TikTok, and theundroppables.com, and also my content, my podcast and things you can access on the Undroppables. So, I love you all. I do. It is what it is.
Love you back, Miss G.
No, we love you back. Love you back, Miss Jean, for sure. I appreciate you for coming on because these two famous people. I'm just here. So D, I'm coming to you. You know what I'm saying? D famous, y'all. I should really just give her the solo picture and let her just.
I don't know why she's denying it, because she is.
Right.
I am not. I will walk into the grocery store and no one will know I exist.
Nah,
Okay,
I can see you in the grocery store. I'll be like, hey!
I'll be like, hey, D love sports. But no.
Anyway, you can find me on the internet because that's the only place. You'll be able to find me. No, I'm D Love Sports everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I do host a Twitter show. It's on a little bit of a hiatus, but it will be back. Sports and Coffee will be back to its full thing. We got some stuff in the works for you guys. I missed you guys, by the way, but just got a lot going on and taking a break before football revs up. I needed it because we were going kind of straight for almost a year and a half now. So Sports and Coffee Monday through Friday will be back. D Love Sports on all platforms. That is my name. And dlovesports.com is actually up and running. We're going to make it look real pretty for y'all and soon. But yeah, that's where you can find me. D Love Sports everywhere. Thanks for having me, Portland.
No, for sure. No, definitely. This ain't going to be the last time I definitely am pulling y'all as the halftime
I do
show.
have a bedtime. Everybody knows.
For sure. And I'm sorry. I did not mean for this to go 2.5 hours, y'all. I generally try to keep this like an hour and a half because I know, people have bedtimes. But again, man, the halftime show with your boy Cortland Griffin, man. Y'all can find me in Twitter Spaces. I'm talking football, I'm talking basketball, baseball, hockey. If it's sports, Cortland is there. He's going to give his 2 cents, and people can attempt to pack me up. It doesn't happen very often. But you know what I'm saying? They try. But you can find me at VC Griffey on Instagram and on Twitter. Find me at Cortland Matthew Griffin on Facebook, where you can catch this show. You can also catch it on my Twitter. Also on YouTube, type in The Halftime Show with Cortland Griffin. I know it's long, but you find my page where you can find every episode of The Halftime Show up to this point, and this show will air on YouTube tomorrow. So if you did not catch it tonight, you can catch it tomorrow, where you can see these two beautiful ladies and my guy Ray on here talking AFC North. Also, tune in next week. We ain't done with the NFL Roundtable. Tune in next week, same time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the NFC North. We're going where it's cold. And I got some personalities. Y'all thought these were some personalities. I got some personalities that love to talk. My guy Jeremy Cole, went to high school with him. He's a staunch Vikings fan. He's got a Vikings podcast. Have him talking Vikings. My guy Raphael, Mr. Controversy Haynes. Did you miss me? I'm gonna have him talking his Bears. Darrell, my guy Darrell Lee Owens. He's gonna be talking about the Packers. And I'm gonna have Ray back. So y'all know it's gonna get spicy, right? So y'all just got a preview. He's gonna be talking about his Lions. So definitely tune in if you're an NFC North fan. If you just want to watch, some things about football, please tune in to the Halftime Show NFL Roundtable. It's been another episode of the Halftime Show with Cortland Griffin. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Peace.
Thanks for having me. Bye. See you.